welcome to Xena Warrior Podcast. My name is Vera, and I'm joined as always by my two slumberous co-hosts, Katie.
Ooh, hi.
And Livy.
Yawn.
Take a nap. That'd be nice.
Well, you can't, because we're going to be talking about Xena.
Okay.
Woo! I'm awake.
Yeah.
Have coffee.
So first thing to note is that you guys might have noticed
Oh my God.
Xena is no longer on Hulu.
Rude.
Which is crazy because we've done this podcast and Xena was on Netflix, got taken off of Netflix, was on Hulu, and now is off of Hulu.
Now
That's
you
how
think
long
it's
we've been podcasting, yes.
So we're keeping the flame alive, basically.
Yeah. So regarding streaming, it is on NBC.com.
In the United States.
In the United States, and then also on DVDs.
Yeah. I would like to say that if Xena Warrior Princess is a show that you really love and you want to watch it from time to time, you should buy it. Honestly, it's a thing where I feel like I know everyone is just like, oh, streaming is the best, and that's how we mostly watch stuff. Like, I know that, like, if something is streaming and I own it, I'll probably go and stream it first because I don't want to, like, get the DVD out and put it in.
What about iTunes?
It's so much
Can you buy it
effort.
on iTunes?
You can buy it on iTunes, yeah.
Then there you go.
You'll probably
It's like-
buy it from Amazon also, you know.
Oh, like on Prime?
Yeah,
Like,
have
so you can
streaming
stream
copies.
it? Yeah.
But you want to make sure then that, like, at some point down the line, that doesn't disappear on you either.
Right,
I
the
am
cloud.
just saying
Be worried about the cloud.
that if you love something, you should own it in a box
You should
in
have
your house.
You should have a bunker with fresh bottled water and your Xena DVDs for when the world ends.
You can buy all 6 seasons in a tiny little slim case. They're all right. They got a weird menu.
Yeah,
but,
the menu's really confusing on those DVDs.
There are a bunch of different versions of the DVDs that have come out over the years, and
Yeah.
I suggest you go and buy it.
Maybe it's time to put them on Blu-ray.
Yeah, we definitely should start circulating a petition to put Xena on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
That would be super nice.
If that's the one thing that we could do, that would be nice.
Yeah.
I would do that.
Yeah,
for
we would
sure.
definitely get behind that.
But yeah, I really just think that, like, oh man, like, what we were just doing this the other day with Lord of the Rings. You'd have to rent it
Yeah.
if you wanted to watch that.
Yeah, right now it's not
streaming for
available
free
on
anywhere.
streaming.
So
Right.
good thing I had it on the DVDs, so I could just put it on there.
Extended editions,
Blam.
baby. But also not. Theatricals are better. Hot take.
Okay, you're talking about Lord of the Rings, which is a well-known trilogy.
Oh, yes.
And we are talking about the Xena version of that, a trilogy.
Ooh.
And we have reached the final part.
Ah.
And what is our opinion on final parts of trilogies?
It's funny because for some reason they all have to be called Return of the...
Yes.
Return of the Jedi, Return of the King.
Return of the Mac.
What's that?
The song.
Oh, sorry, I don't know.
Return of the Mac.
Oh.
You know that one.
Do I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody knows that.
There's a different Lord of the Rings adaptation done by the animation house Bakshi. And they have this really funny song at the end that just goes, it's really catchy, so I don't know, not a spoiler alert, but alert,
For your
earworm
yeah,
alert.
Got it.
The destruction of the ring, the return of the king.
What?
Over and
Oh,
over
no.
and over again.
That's
Oh my God.
awful.
That's the song.
Oof, that's rough.
That basically works for Xena.
Okay.
Sort of.
I mean,
Return of
if
Xena,
Brunhilda's
just
a king. Yeah.
and/or Brunnhilda.
I do think it's interesting that there's, this name scheme with
Yeah.
final installments of a trilogy. Because, like, the ending is in many ways a return. You know, you kind of go back to the beginning in the cycle, and that's, like, what's satisfying. So, you know, whatever crime has been committed, you gotta, like, put it back, absolve it.
Right.
That's what happens in Lord of the Rings. That's what happens here in the Ring trilogy. And that's sort of what happens in the Ring cycle.
And in Star Wars.
And in Star Wars, you know, the Jedi have been destroyed before the series begins. If by series you mean the original trilogy, and then they're restored.
All right.
What about the No.
Well, it's like revenge of
Of the Sith? Yeah, I mean, sort of. They're gone. It's like an inversion of the
Yes.
original trilogy, the prequels. The Sith are basically wiped out at the beginning. They're back at the end. Yeah.
Right. The best.
I gotta love the prequels. Thanks, Vera. Thanks for making my arguments for me. Noted prequels fan, Liv.
Okay, so should we talk about this episode?
I guess.
Or do we want to talk more about returns?
Well, yeah, do you guys, like, nobody...
Batman
I feel like it's a
Returns.
very basic opinion for
He
the
returns.
final episode of a trilogy to be your fave.
Yes,
The-
we talked
is
about
it?
this.
Yeah, we
Everybody
did.
loves the last one because it's like the best.
It's
like,
basic.
fucking
No,
Return of the
people
King is the best.
Don't love
Look at all
Return
that.
of the Jedi the best.
I did growing up.
Yeah,
Well,
but
'cause
when
you were a
like
stupid kid who loves
5,
Ewoks.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just not an opinion.
Yeah,
It is.
you gotta be
People
more
have-
highbrow about that.
There's a part of me that still feels this way.
No.
It's satisfying. It's satisfying
hair
to see
is
the
the
thing
dumbest.
end. You get the gratification of actually seeing the ring destroyed and the empire destroyed and all the
It's
things
sad
destroyed.
and your story's over. Why would you want that?
Mockingjay is better, I think.
Return of
than
the Mockingjay?
Catching Fire. Yeah, Return of the
You're
Mockingjay.
wrong. Catching Fire is the greatest ever made. It's perfection.
So I guess what I'm
All-Stars.
saying is I'm a little
All-Stars,
basic.
baby.
I like endings.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about Twilight, Return of the Breaking Dawn.
that one's best.
Part one.
From the movies.
We
Yeah.
talked about how complicated it is to
Yeah.
even discuss this in movies because cinema has stopped making trilogies.
Right. Yes.
Dumb. I think we're moving out of
We are.
that trend, which is great because I don't miss it.
Right. How about this Xena?
How about it?
How about it? Episode 609, Return of the Valkyrie.
Destruction of the ring.
Oh my god.
Oh
my God. I gotta see this thing.
It's really creepy.
Oh no. Written by Emily Skopov and directed by John Fawcett. He back.
He back. Go see Ginger Snaps. Okay.
Yay.
Got
We
that
did
out of
it.
the way.
Yep, always.
Emily Skopov, her previous credit was the amazing Heart of Darkness.
Oh yeah.
So let's see if she can redeem herself from that.
There's some fun
Okay.
stuff in there, much as there is fun stuff in this one.
This episode begins with a previously because there have been 2 episodes before this.
Yeah.
And in case you're just tuning into this one, gotta fill you in on what happened. And it
Yeah.
begins with a bunch of Brunnhilda's amazing line deliveries.
Oh God, I miss her.
And it has Xena screaming, "Who am I?"
I really loved actually the way this was edited together because you have like Odin's line about the effect the ring is having on Xena. He says like right now it's killing what she values most. And over that line you don't see stupid ugly Odin's face. It cuts to Gabrielle. So it's
it
telling you
knows, yeah.
exactly what the ring is doing via
Yeah.
visuals.
Okay.
We had a long discussion in the previous episode about the effect of the ring and what we wish that effect had been.
I don't think it was even very long.
It wasn't long at all. It was like at the end when we were like, man, we wish that it was like Xena from whatever 35 years ago.
Well, we had a very interesting message from friend of the podcast, Troy, reacting to that conversation. And I wanted to kick things off by reading some of what Troy said.
Yeah.
This is on
let's do-
Facebook where you can go and have discussions and write long things. Not like Twitter where you can write short things.
Twitter's for sex jokes. Facebook's for actual thoughts.
Twitter sometimes is for serious talk, okay?
Okay, here's what Troy has to say. There is no separating dark Xena from light Xena. That's because the same warrior spirit, in parentheses, way of the warrior, anyone, is at the heart of both expressions of Xena. What the ring robbed of Xena was that warrior self. It took the thing that is at the heart of both the good and bad expressions of Xena, reducing her to this docile state. Depending on your perspective, some might even say that the ring didn't curse Xena, it blessed her, by returning her to an even earlier state, in some way even restoring her virginity/chastity. It made domesticity acceptable to her. And if we know anything about warrior Xena, it's that she cannot abide domesticity. While neither I, nor the fans, nor even Beowulf, would wish Xena to be rendered thusly, she does have this second chance at remaking her personality. And then in parentheses again, While the demands of the story, the restoration of her soulmate, will not permit this, it is interesting to contemplate. But the ring could not take good Xena away, nor could it take bad Xena away. It robbed her of all her memories, and that was purposeful, because all her memories are tied to that warrior self. I think that's a really interesting interpretation of the ring's effect, but it's not what the episode kind of is trying to explicitly say. Like, the episode is saying, like in the previously, is, you know, that the thing that Xena values most that is being destroyed by the ring is Gabrielle.
Right.
Her memories of Gabrielle, not
Exactly.
necessarily like her warrior self. But it is confusing.
It's so confusing because they say so many different things about what the ring does. Like, remember how it goes back and forth, and the ring also does this and that. Like, so one of the things that they do say the ring does is that it destroys your essence. And then they also say
A ring also does
that
what?
the ring destroys what you value most. So
And those are two different
those
things.
sound like very much like two different things. And the episode very explicitly, like Brunnhilda will say this stuff, and then the plot of this episode entirely is about Gabrielle and that being what Xena values most. And then I like the idea, though, in that comment of her essence being part of like her warrior self spirit, like this selfhood that is tied together. And yeah, it obviously is part of all iterations of Xena. There is only one Xena at all times.
Right. It's not like you can erase half of her personality, leaving another half. Like, that wasn't kind of the point we were trying to make with our hypothetical dark Xena
it was
plotline.
more like the concept of, I think, the idea that there's two different things at war here now, where like what the thing that she values most being like memories of Gabrielle wouldn't entirely, in that conversation that we were having, wouldn't entirely just make her forget literally everything about who she is specifically.
Yeah, forgetting the effect Gabrielle has had on her is not the same as forgetting literally everything.
Well, this is what you guys are talking about. That it's two. The rules say that it's two different things, really. Like the essence and the thing you value most.
I think essence is thrown out a couple times.
Essence is the warrior self, which is gone.
Is gone. But then also
The thing she values most is Gabrielle.
So
it's two
confusing.
different, like
But
two actual things.
Gabrielle's influence being tied to that has made her into the character that we have seen grow throughout the season. So if you're tying it all together and you lose Gabrielle, then maybe you lose the whole shebang.
Yeah,
Because it's
true.
all connected.
Xena, sort of found that way of the warrior because of Gabrielle's influence, because of the path she's walking
Right,
with Gabrielle. As Gabrielle found her way, Xena found her own way. So yeah, it's hard to separate these things, being like, well, you've erased Gabrielle, but what about Xena's essential self?
And
Right,
also
yeah.
our comment, I think, from last week was basically like, we really love to see Xena from
10 years
35 years ago.
Well, I think
and
that's-
that's what we just, like, I loved the idea of just like erasing Gabrielle's influence on her, which would revert her back to that state. And I just want more of her.
Right.
That's all.
And at what
there is.
point? We were talking
Yeah.
about this a little bit off pod. Like, where would that bring her? Like, would it be the person who was like just immediately walking on the road, like post
That's
Hercules?
interesting.
Like this kind of
Right,
just kind
sins
of
of the
Yeah.
past.
Because
Xena.
certainly
Doubt
wouldn't
Xena.
get rid of Hercules' influence on her.
Please, let's erase Hercules. I just want to erase that without the power of the ring. Just
Yeah.
erase it.
Yeah, but that's so that's interesting to think about too.
Yeah.
But yeah, like and this episode goes into such wonderfully romantic areas with their relationship that it then becomes like hard to like really keep thinking about like them as individuals, which you always want to do as well. Like you don't want everything to just be, I don't know what the right word is, because I don't want to say codependent. That's bad. But just like it's romantic, but at the same time you don't want to lose the fact that like there is like a Xena who is like essential.
Right. One more, sorry, just it came to me, like another reason why I love what, the boiling down that Troy said about how like she is the warrior, like if you take away the warrior part, then it's like she's a blank slate then. However, what would have worked for me better than what we have in this episode, and I understand that we have to have this because it's in the fucking source, stupid Beowulf, which I don't like, but instead of tabula rasa Xena, like she doesn't know who she is. Like, why couldn't she just be Xena, who just like immediately was weird in the sense that she never has this like warrior part.
Yeah,
like she should still remember that she's Xena, but just Beowulf's like, but you're a warrior. She's like, huh? Like, what do you mean? I've never touched a sword in my life.
I guess that's like the metaphor. It's like if you just lose what essentially makes you you, then if you're not like to us watching this story, having her just not be Xena is how that is supposed to translate.
Not having the sword, not having the chakra. And we made a big deal, of course, about the separation of her from those weapons, feeling like a kind of death. Yeah. Like, I do see the elegance of having this character this week, not carry weapons. And then if she eventually gets them all back, that's part of the restoration.
We sort of had this already in Remember Nothing.
Yeah.
And that's why.
And there, too, she put on the dress of domesticity.
Right, but she was
engaged.
Xena.
Yeah.
She was, like, trying to lead, like, a different life, and that was just more interesting to me personally.
I get that, and I think we're going to talk about that. I think my frustration with this episode right off the bat is there's so much potential here.
Yes.
Like, you have these ideas of, like, what is Xena's essential self? Like, if you erase certain aspects of, like, her experience, what's left? And I don't feel like this episode has really good answers to that question, like, at all. Yeah. Like, and, that's frustrating because this could have really been an interesting exploration. Mm-hmm. I agree with you, Vera, that, like, I guess I'm a little offended by this assumption that if you take this warrior woman and erase her experiences, what you're left with is this sort of delicate princess character who's like ultra feminine and kind of pushed around by men. I'm like, really? That's the blank slate of Xena? Oh my God. I don't like the assumptions of this. Yeah. That this is how all women are born and you have to like grow past it. I mean, that's social conditioning. That's not blank slate.
Well, she was kind of socially conditioned by Hrothgar.
Yeah, those Vikings are pretty,
But she made them that way. So, haha, joke's on you, Xena.
In the last one, we only saw the, like, very confused, who am I, Xena, so we didn't
with, like, a weird mental kind of, illness that never comes back.
People laughing at her.
That never comes back.
We'll never know what that was about.
Sort of remade by this man.
Maybe that was the patriarchy. She heard the patriarchy.
But anyway, at the end of the day, wait, no. I just like, well, we'll talk about it as we go.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to say about these issues. And,
all right.
Yeah,
we'll
unpack it.
We're going to begin unpacking.
Thank you, Troy, for that comment.
Yeah. Very eloquently put. So 1 year later is the title card we get.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh my God.
A whole year.
A whole year has gone by. Wow.
So now it's 36 years ago, guys. Take note when you talk about Xena of the past.
Okay.
36 years ago, Xena.
Oh, no. So we have a Lord Eric and his men, and they are Viking dudes, and they're going to try to get through the Ring of Fire there.
And it burns.
This is an interesting...
The Ring of Fire.
That's true. You got to do that. You got to. I think it's interesting that the legend of the ring has been superseded by the legend of the Lady of the Ring.
The Lady of the Flame. Lady of the Flame. Yeah, that's because
these guys don't care about the ring.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, that's part of it, though. Like, you do get it once you wake her up.
Of course. But they want the lady.
Sure. I do like that this has become, like, the new thing that men go off to die for, like, in the forest. Like, it's no longer, like, kill Grendel. It's like, let's burn and try to get Gabs.
Get Gabs. But, I think that's... like an interesting inversion that Gabs has somehow become the ring, this all-powerful thing that everybody's grasping for. And you know what? This was already happening in the previous episode, in the ring, in which everybody was in love with Gabs. So I feel like the power of the ring has become the power of the Gabs.
Oh, the power of the
Gabs. And this is Return of the Gabs.
Return of the Gabs. Yeah. I do love the Lady of the Flame moniker for her, because it's a really good band name.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
This is the part where you gotta go. Remember the previous Lady of the Flame, Callisto? Her element being fire?
By the way, we never really talked about this. Troy brought it up in his Facebook comment, like at the bottom, was like, P.S. It was a pin that we never unpinned about how Gabs was confronted by a giant thing of flames and should have been probably triggered to her Dayhawk times.
Oh no, I'm kind of glad that wasn't on on screen, to be honest.
Well, no.
I mean, I love me some character continuity.
Well, like she would be thinking about that.
I
Probably.
mean, we talked about how we felt that was creepy and
It
non-consensual.
was. That was very much non-consensual. That's part 2 fire, non-consensual stuff with Gabs.
And of course, you could also be sort of annoyed on Gabrielle's behalf that she's become this kind of feminine symbol of conquest for these knights.
Right.
Like that doesn't seem fair to who Gabrielle is. That
Right.
she's just
I'm already
beautiful virgin to be won.
Yeah, with the fucking makeover. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like it.
She's in a dress of domesticity, as is everybody.
With the long hair.
Yeah. Oh, Vera, you have feelings about this hair.
I do. Especially at the end.
Can I like the trees are pretty? Can I be like that person in this?
Like
where
what?
I'm just
Where?
like,
Oh, that she looks... Well, she looked good under
well,
the
like
vines. The
Sleeping
vines
Beauty
literally
stuff,
are pretty.
Yeah, those are
Which is
beautiful.
all from the same sources.
Sleeping Beauty?
Sleeping Beauty, right? We're getting that, we're getting some French in our Germany because Sleeping Beauty is a French folktale.
Ooh.
We're mixing it up.
But like also comes from some of this stuff, like influenced by the Volsunga saga.
All right, because of Brunnhilda.
and Brunnhilda.
Yeah,
and all that
Brunnhilda
stuff.
in the source she is surrounded by a circle of flame, and it's like it's not her soulmate who can cross through. It's just like the most valiant man.
Yeah, so this
Yay.
guy, Lord Eric, thinks he is.
He could be that man.
Yeah, he got that biggest dick, you know, and
Well,
It's kind of
guess
like an
what?
episode of The Bachelorette.
Oh, shit.
But anyway, no, I like the Luke of all the flowers and things. Like,
And
looks
that is
like
from
lots of
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping
Yeah.
Beauty.
Yeah.
Well, the movie and like old art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in
Art
Grimm
stuff.
in the Grimm fairy tales, this
Yeah.
is like Briar Rose
Yes.
is the name. So yeah, she's literally in the rose briars.
Right,
yeah.
with the thornies.
Yeah, the thornies.
Yeah. So Beowulf is back, and he brings along his little buddy, his son. Wiglaf.
Son?
That's his son. I'm like,
It
what
is not,
happening?
is it?
He says son to him.
I think
No,
that's
he says
just
dad.
like- oh really?
Yeah, at one point.
Oh
No.
shit! I did not
Yeah.
notice this.
Yeah, I
I
was
thought he was just his like
little
sidekick.
buddy. Little buddy.
He's from the source too.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's his little buddy.
But here they made it be his son. And
By who?
by this weird fucking line where he just calls him dad. At one point.
Sure.
He does.
Is it like a millennial thing? Daddy.
daddy? I don't know. Does this character need to be here? No.
It's
Wiglaf?
weird. Why is Wiglaf here?
I'm glad to see Dino Gorman back
Sure.
playing Wiglaf.
Yeah, we haven't seen Dino Gorman in a while, unless you've been watching Young Hercules.
Right. I don't know. Was he like, hey guys, I just want to be in an episode? And they're like, sure, we'll put on Gabrielle's stunt double's hair on you and you're fine. You're fine.
I always like seeing Dino.
I know,
up
he's
in
great.
here.
But like, talk about a useless character and just, I don't know. Why? I don't know. Whatever. I guess
I wasn't
problems
offended
with
by
this
his
episode.
presence.
I wasn't offended by it,
I
but
think
when you
he's
think about
kind
it.
of an expositional helper. Like people explain things
just
to him,
explained one
hence
time.
explain things to those of us who didn't see the first 2 chapters.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like Beowulf could be that. But,
Yeah,
you know.
he is that also. So I have to say, I dislike Beowulf intensely. I think he's like a useless character.
But that's what's
agree.
great about
This
it.
is the
We talked
problem
about
when
this.
you're like adapting a source that and it makes you have these things. They
Yeah.
could have come up with like their own episodes for this whole thing. That would have just been better. Still set it in
So
the
you don't
North.
actually like having all this Wagner and
I like
grim fairy
I like
tale
Odin and I like Valkyries. I think that's great. Did we need? I mean, you could have Brunhilda the Ring. You could have all that. You
Yeah.
just not need Beowulf.
Okay, just get Beowulf
Wig-
out of
Wiggles.
there.
But I
What
like
about
the- all
Grindel?
the-
We love Grindel.
The Sun.
Oh, both of them.
Yeah, you can keep those.
Grindhilda and
You could
Grindel.
keep
Monster
those.
Mama and Baby, which is from Beowulf.
Yeah, but like, just you don't need that
I
Beowulf.
just think
Okay.
it's fun. The gender inversion stuff is really fun and very
Sure.
Xena and super great.
the point I was trying to make with Beowulf is that I don't like him. I think he's a useless, but I LOL'd for like a day when he pulled back his sleeve and you saw that his arm had been all burnt up.
Oh my god, yeah.
I thought that was a great little bit of characterization. You're like,
Of course he did.
Of course you did.
He was first.
Of course
He
you
did
tried.
it immediately
Yeah.
after. Yeah.
He's the one that learned how it worked by sticking his arm up in there.
And because that definitely taught him that he is not OTP with her. And so he's been like championing other ones, aka Xena only.
Yeah, he's been humbled a little bit, which I guess we appreciate. Character growth for Beowulf, question mark.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of people who don't have character growth, Eric!
Oh my god. I did love how a lot of the characters in this episode I thought were straight out of like a Disney movie.
Right, Prince Eric.
Yeah, he was just so like, pompous and
It's gonna be me.
Beowulf warns him to not go at the flame, because he's gonna burn. And Eric is like super full of himself. He's like,
definitely not her soulmate.
Oh my god. But he's like, a boar and a spit has reason to fear the flame, not a Viking lord.
Is he a Targaryen? That's crazy. What is he talking about?
Viserys Targaryen. He is no true dragon.
So while this is all happening, guess who busts into the scene?
She doesn't bust in. She is just there sneakily. And that's what she does this episode.
That's her favorite trick.
She's learned to be quiet. She's like, hey guys, it's me, Brunnhilda. Still a tree.
This is, I thought, some of the most fun creature stuff, courtesy of John Fawcett, our resident creature expert. The ripping the arms off the Viking dudes. I thought was good times. Yeah.
She's pretty fun this episode.
Brunhilda's always fun.
So yeah, she kills like all of the soldiers that came with this guy.
Eric has this moment, which felt to me like kind of recalling Xena in the Rheingold. Like Beowulf sort of says, tell your men to retreat, save their lives. And Eric is like, nah. And then throws himself into the flames and dies.
He dives in there and incinerates. I love that Beowulf eye rolls once that happens.
All right, you're making me like Beowulf. I mean, definitely this is the installment that Beowulf has to actually do things in.
Yeah.
Not that he does anything all that important, as he will later say. He's not relevant.
Yeah.
But he's sort of entertaining.
Yeah, he tells the rest of the men who are alive still to retreat, and then he has a new plan. He's gonna go ask his good buddy King Hrothgar of Denmark for help.
Because if anybody can help kill Brunhilda, Hrothgar can.
Mm-hmm. Sure. A year
we
later.
meet him and we're like,
why does it take him a year
I feel
to
like
get to
that
this plan?
happens a lot in this episode. There's a lot of why?
Yes.
What took him this long to go, my buddy Hrothgar.
Right.
I'll go there.
Exactly.
It's been a year. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The script said so.
Mm-hmm.
And before he goes, he makes a promise to Gabrielle that he's going to come back for her. And we get this really beautiful, overhead close-up of Gabs asleep.
Yeah.
She's doing the Tilda Swinton performance, all right.
Oh my God.
I am worried about, how many vines and things there are.
There's a lot, yeah.
What if, Xena never came? Would they just overgrow her and then just
Do you ever worry
her?
about Sleeping Beauty in that sense? Do the vines grow around her continuously?
I think so. She sleeps for 100 years.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Then, you should worry about
around
it.
the castle. I called it a house.
Little house.
A house is a castle. A castle is a house, yeah.
So now we go to Denmark.
Right.
This is cool, this reveal of it. I think it's mostly beach shots, shots of beach.
Quote-unquote fjords.
Oh, yes, the fjords.
I don't know. Are there fjords in Denmark? They just seemed like they were still doing that.
Maybe. And this episode, I thought, unlike the previous two, the music is really taking center stage. I know we've said, this is
we like the music in the first one, right?
Yeah.
Because it was trying to do problematic person who shall not be named.
I name him constantly.
Okay.
But I feel like this is doing that Wagner even more. And it's more in your face.
I thought it was just doing court music. I had to put a coin in for
Wagner. I dig it. I like that in the third one it's really going full opera. And,
okay. Yeah. Well, it's a I like that the castle's kind of on the cliff side.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I thought the whole Denmark production design is fab.
Yeah.
I like this place.
I did
it's
too.
really upsetting, but I like it.
See, I'm just gonna put it out there. I wish that, I guess this should have been a 6-episode arc, and you could have had a bunch of episodes setting up Xena with this new life.
It's a long arc. 6.
Whatever. Okay, 4 episodes. 1 for Xena, just like
one extra
acclimating, and then 1 coming out of it or whatever.
I would like more of Xena at court.
Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting kind of milieu that we
Yeah,
haven't seen
exactly.
her be in.
Right.
And it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely felt like this whole section, the Denmark section, goes by too quickly.
Too quickly, and it's like you're meeting all these new people. It's I don't
a
know.
lot.
It's a lot. Yeah. So well, it's a party also.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what's going on right now.
Ain't no party like a Denmark party.
What conquest are they celebrating? The conquest of King Hrothgar's heart.
Har, 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 har.
I like that there was this shot of the first thing you really see is this juggling girl.
Chakrams.
She's juggling. Well, they're not actual chakrams,
No.
obviously, but they're like circle
Interesting.
thingies.
It's the first visual. I mean,
Yeah.
that's your first thought. You see
Right.
a flying disc in the air. You're like, chakram. So it's fun that, because we're not dealing with the warrior princess, the chakram has become like a party trick.
right.
So a lady's announced. She rides. She's rolling in.
The noble and fair Wealthea.
She's wealthy.
yeah.
Fucking dumb name. Why did he give her this name?
I don't know. It's a nice Viking name.
She sounds like a finance app.
It's one of those names that does not sound like a name. Is this a name?
It is actually the name of Hrothgar's wife
Yeah?
in the
Oh,
source.
no.
Hrothgar
The fucking
is
source,
the
man.
king in Beowulf, and
I thought
his
as
wife
much.
is up in there for a little bit.
It sounds like unobtainium.
Yes.
Like, here's my wife, Wealthea.
Yeah.
She's
She
perfect.
rich.
She has lots of money.
Here's her gold dress.
I gave her this name. So
Yeah.
there.
Ugh.
Like, yeah, it's funny.
They,
But
of course,
there you
have
go.
the joke where he's like, Wealthea, it's Celtic for ... looks at her and says, Warrior princess!
Question mark.
Which I thought was a
Yeah.
pretty good gag. So maybe they know this name is stupid. Like,
I guess.
they know.
Well, it
Could've
was
changed it.
Wiggles was like, it doesn't sound Norse. Yeah.
Okay.
And they had to explain it.
I
guess.
see.
I don't know.
It's Celtic. She's meant to sound like a foreigner.
Yes.
Wealthea?
And she is.
She
Yeah,
is, and that's
like,
part
this
of it.
character is
Yeah.
meant to be,
From
not
elsewhere.
from Denmark.
Mm-hmm.
Not blonde.
Not one of us. The doors open, and in rides Xena.
Yes, she
On-
does.
On a big cow situation. I like that I don't know if you can like do it normal, but I did take note that it was side saddle.
Oh, well, of course.
I don't know if you can ride a cow,
Side cow
like regular
Got
ways.
really good muscle extension.
She does.
Yeah. I was wondering if Xena being on the cow, or I'm not sure. It's a cow, right? Not a bull.
It's a bovine.
It's
of
a
some sort.
bovine. I think it's a cow, but like my first thought was of Europa from Greek mythology, who is abducted by Zeus, who like transforms into a bull, and like she's riding him. And he like
She's riding him.
rides her off, like she rides him off so that he can ride
Right. So she can ride him somewhere. Yeah.
But I think there it's like over the water, like on a beach. So I just thought like that was correct for this. You see so much beach in this episode, and Xena herself has sort of been abducted from where she belongs.
Yeah, that's interesting. Cool.
So I don't know.
That's
It felt like
interesting.
an echo.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that this was here specifically because then part of their wedding ceremony is to sacrifice this cow.
Yeah.
It's like a symbol of.
Yeah.
I was looking up Viking marriage ceremonies, and this is sort of legit. They exchange blades, which is a thing that would happen with Vikings, not rings, blades.
Viking-esque.
Yeah.
And they would sacrifice an animal to the
Right.
gods.
I don't remember that episode of Vikings.
It must have happened.
We
Though.
probably, yeah.
There are a
we
lot of
need to catch up.
marriages, so
So as she's riding by, Beowulf is like low key, like Xena,
hey, why are you riding the cow?
and this is where Wiglaf is like, but Dad, I thought you said there's no way she could have
I
survived.
totally didn't hear this.
And he was like, I was wrong.
We gotta say, what the hell? Why is Xena presumed dead? When we last saw her, she was just wandering through the woods,
Right.
being like, "Who am I?"
So we get little bits and bobs of her backstory for the last year in the episode, but we don't really ever get like a full picture
Nope.
of that. So
Yeah.
I think she fell into some water at some point. She
tripped.
Does she like not know how to swim? Because she doesn't
She
know
knows how to
anything.
swim.
Swam all the way to Denmark.
Well, I don't
somebody
think she's
took her there.
Well,
Are you talking about Xena?
Hrothgar.
We've seen her swim.
Yeah, but
literally
like
in
this
episode.
new Xena.
Oh,
Wealthea.
Wealthea.
Well, she forgot all her memories.
So she's
maybe
like,
she
swimming, what is
doesn't
it?
know how to swim.
Yeah, it's a little bit confusing what precisely happened to get from point A to point B, but it seems like she was in the water and had to be rescued.
Okay, so Xena goes, on the couch, goes to, do the wedding ceremony, and like while that's happening, Beowulf and Wiggles, they like shove their way to the front, or at least Beowulf does, and Wiggs is like, sorry, which was, I thought, cute.
So it sounds like you're a fan
Of
Wiggles.
He's cute, but like, why is he here?
No. Why are any
Why
of
is
us
his son
here?
suddenly here? Like, where did this come from?
I forgot to mention while she's riding on that cow, but we'll talk about her outfit a lot as we go in. But it's legs and legs for days.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it has
shit.
those good slits.
The slits are like all the way up to like hips.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the first thing I noticed, of course, was the gold like breastplate look.
Yeah, what do you think? I was like going over in my head what that breastplate meant. It's gold, so I thought was like trying to connect it to the ring that the design
and
on it looks like the ring. But like it's almost like a visual reminder of the ring's influence, on her.
Yeah, sure.
But to me, it also looked sort of like feathers, and I was like, is she a phoenix rising from a fire? Or a fish.
To me, it's a fish.
Scales.
To me, it just looked like a visual reminder that this is not her real breastplate. This is some weird, rich, kingly domesticity happening.
But at the same time, it's not just like a gown, right? It is a breastplate. It is armor.
I guess. Is it?
I think so.
It's decorative. You know how there's decorative?
Yeah,
you know how like...
It was part of the dress.
It was part of the dress, but it wasn't just cloth. It was...
Yeah, but it's, again, in Season 2, Episode 9 of Game of Thrones, Cersei has a decorative breastplate for a war.
And you wouldn't wear that in a battle.
It's a decorative breastplate.
But at the same time, it's not purely a feminine look. There's something a little bit martial in there.
Well, they are Vikings.
Yeah.
And they have shield maidens.
Yeah, that's a good point. And her hair's really pretty.
Oh my god, the whole episode.
It's kind of curled more than we usually see, which I thought was nice. She's holding a sword that's wrapped in ivy, I guess.
Like a gabs?
Like pine.
Pine, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Holding
I thought
little
that was
gabs.
Like a garland of
I feel like they
pine.
must have done that just to make it clear to the audience,
This is not her
It's not a
sword.
warrior sword.
Yeah.
She's
Right.
holding this
So,
decoration.
Yeah.
All of it's decorative and not being used.
And
So-
she's smiling and
She's waving, and everyone's like, yay.
being a proper lady of the court.
Beowulf, they're at the front, and he has a new plan, and he tells it very loudly to Wiggles. And he's like, you know what? I no longer need Hrothgar, who I see here. We're in his castle. I no longer need him.
I just remembered he's useless.
He's useless. I'm going to get Xena. She's the one we need. And you see this new character, a lady. She has like a little crown, and she has a resting bitch face.
Oh, she does.
And she's definitely listening to this, and she's very suspicious.
So Xena rides up to Hrothgar, and he's got a helmet on. So you're like, oh, let's see
Let's see this hottie.
Who's the husband?
Let's see this sexy man. And he takes it off, and it's straight up Robert Baratheon.
Yeah, basically.
This actor is John Lee. You may know him from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, what did he play?
He is one of King Theoden's retainer dudes. He's one of like the guys loyal to actual Theoden and is really happy when he turns back into like a nice old man.
Yay! So the wedding ceremony begins, and they exchange the swords, whatever. But then Hrothgar does put a ring on it. And when he does, she has some flashies.
Here's another, my second why. Okay, so she got this ring being put on. It's been a year. Puts the ring on and goes like, whoa, ring memories, whoa. In this whole year, has she not worn other rings?
Right?
What is it about this particular ring that caused her to start having these flashbacks? Does it wear off after a time? That is weird because it's supposed to just truly destroy all these things, the actual Rheingold. Like, I don't feel like Wealthea is a person who wouldn't have had other experiences with putting rings on before this moment.
For sure he would have given her jewelry and like
Is
a
it the
whole wardrobe
severity
and
of the situation? Like, oh God,
maybe it's
I'm
the
marrying a man.
presence
like,
of Beowulf.
I have a theory.
Okay.
And
Yes.
this theory requires me to mention our favorite episode of all time of Xena.
Ulysses.
No.
Oh.
But good guess. Married with fish
Oh
sticks.
shit! No.
Are you being serious?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Married with fish sticks. As
Yes.
you remember, when Gabs was literally getting married, is when the flashies started happening at the end of fish
Oh my
sticks.
god!
It's the severity of the
Do you
situation.
guys
It's
see
the severity of the
marrying
situation.
fucking-
See how important?
The heteronormity looms so intensely that
Ugh.
it's like wakes her up.
Wow.
Okay, see, this
So-
is why fish sticks is
The
truly
key,
crucial.
the key to everything.
Yes, yes.
That's great. I mean,
That's
I feel
awesome. I like
there
that
was
theory. I
something
think that's
so great.
legit.
Excellent. Very good.
Okay. Beowulf, I don't know, does he see... No, he doesn't see her flashback.
I know it is
No.
weird though how
'Cause he
he's like, it's
immediately
the
is like,
ring.
it's the ring.
That ring she just put on. But no, what he's really saying is like the ring changed her.
Yeah.
Made her into a girl.
And so she recovers quickly and she's like, oh, I'm the luckiest woman in Denmark. Yay.
She
that.
played
Yeah.
that off well. She's trying to save face from her flashbacks.
Oh my god, but then Hrothgar leans in for a kiss and it is like the biggest sidestep ever from her.
Yeah.
She like jumps away as if it's a speeding car.
I have a lot of questions. Like, if she's so repulsed by him, like, why is she doing this?
How did they get this far without her even
Does she,
kissing him?
does she
It's like
feel
part of
forced? I mean, she clearly does feel forced.
Yeah, well, I guess so.
Well, he's just been gaslighting her for like a year.
Yes.
I guess.
But there's that whole thing she says later that I was very grateful for about like how like they have to wait until the moon is high
Yeah, but
even
that's
on their
to
wedding
have
night to
sex.
even yeah.
What about
but
kissing?
It's like
He's
that's
never
like
kissed
the
her before?
extreme, like purity situation, like where even kissing is bad. Just take it to
Alright.
the extreme
Alright.
over here, which I don't feel would be true to the Viking land
Yeah.
at all. But that's fine.
Yeah, I guess I was like, why is this happening? Who is Wealthea that she's doing this? Does she feel, that she's just so obligated to this man that she's going to marry him, even though she clearly is outright repulsed? She can't even
It's
kiss
like-
him
it's like-
at her wedding to him.
I got it, guys. It's like that time where Kaylin had to marry Dirk and Rawl, and
then
she
he
was
was
going to do
secret.
all the good changes to the world, even though she was super grossed out by him.
I see. So it's more like transactional. She wants his power, but she does not want his bod.
I
She
honestly
has
don't
those
think.
priorities that we never find out
Right.
about. Which we'll get to.
I don't think it's like as far as that though. Honestly, I don't think he's always like a grosso. He must have some kind of mood swing situation where he's sometimes nice to her and he saved her. He probably reminds her that all the time.
She feels
and
like she
she-
has to do this.
But she's also like into the idea of being queen to these people. Like she really does want to do this.
She wants everything but the man.
Outside of the story elements, I just for one feel grateful to it all for like not having Xena in this state being taken advantage of or having even the implication that she's been like kissing or having sex with this man while she
true.
has not of her right mind is
Right.
terrible. So I'm pleased that it is not in there.
She's been resisting for a year, but I mean, it is very upsetting and, like sexual assaulty because, like, we're about to have him basically pitting her
Right.
up against a wall.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
married. Yes.
So, I mean, they do go there.
They do,
which-
but like
yeah.
she's been with this guy for less than or maybe not upwards of a year, but for a long time. So
Yeah, that's true. And this seems to be as far as things ever get. Yeah.
So the bovine is then sacrificed to the goddess Freya, and there's a really great cut from that to all the dead soldiers that Brunnhilda has killed.
Freya is Odin's wife. We never meet her.
We never meet her. Why not?
She could have helped get her man in line.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, so I really like this cut, and all the dead soldiers are like just laying
Yes.
there. And
It's fun to just see the Valkyries doing their jobs.
yeah, so the Valks are there. They're doing their jobs. We have the two Valks, the one from the previous ep.
Waltraute.
Waltraute, yes.
Oh
Sexy.
Sexy name.
Yeah. Every time Odin's like, Waltraute. I couldn't.
She's a trout you hang on the wall.
Oh
a
my
wall
God.
trout.
And then the second one, who's like Seal Ginda
Oh, yeah.
or something like that.
Which is a name from Wagner, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. Waltraute, too.
So they're just kind of like, they're business as usual. They're taking the dead bodies, they're carrying them over to like a wagon, and they're doing like
Carrying them off to Valhalla, presumably.
Right. I mean, yes, that's where they're gonna end up. But like right now, they're just kind of like doing
Cleanup.
Water cooler talk almost.
Yeah, I like this. Well, the one thing we know about Waltraute is that she's not a romantic. It's just she's so dismissive. I love the like list of the names of the great warriors who have all died trying to get with Gabs. Sven the Lionheart, Noble John Thomas. It's definitely what that dude calls his dick.
Oh my god.
And Eimar the Valiant. She calls it a waste of talent.
Right. She doesn't get why they would be doing this for a Gabs.
But then everyone else makes a good point about how maybe she's not so ordinary.
Right, yeah. She puts forward all the evidence we have. This person's in love with her, and that person's in love with her.
Right.
Brunnhilda became a wall of flame for her.
She's their sister.
Xena liked her. Legendary Xena.
Oh, yeah, and when she brings up the legendary Xena, Waltraute just, like, loses it. I love this, how she's like, how dare you, like, speak the name of that conniving bitch in the presence of heroes. Thank the god she's dead and fed to the fishes.
Oh, Waltraute has, like, so many lines. Like, her lines are not good. Because, like, Vera, I know you hate lines.
Oh, I hate them.
But, like, at least Xena's are, like, they're fast. They're usually.
Just get them over with.
She get it in there, and then it's done, and it's like, huh. Like, there's one later, and it's good. But, like, this bitch, like, her lines are, and I get props to this actress, because, like, she gets them all out there, but they're, like, a sentence with, like, 800 words in them that are, like, the joke. And it's, like, by the time you get to the end of the sentence, you're like, what did she just say?
I also wanted to call out, like, seeing the Valkyries do their work and the fact that it's, it's not very supernatural. It's just, like, hauling off the bodies. I was reading about the origin of Valkyries, and one theory is that they would have been just these pagan women who were part of funeral rites, who would go to the battlefield and take away the bodies of the warriors. And around them...
Yeah, the Silent Sisters on Game of Thrones.
Right, yeah. So around that was, this myth.
That's a really cool myth. Like, I can totally see how
they're taking them to a beautiful place.
Yeah, I love that a lot.
I thought it was interesting in this particular conception where they do go to Valhalla, that they somehow need to drag all the dead guys there, and then when do they like come back to life once you get there? Like, what happens to the body?
Yeah, when do they go from like the dead bodies to like the spirits?
And like, and you can clearly go back and forth to Valhalla.
But
like,
they need to go on horses. How do they get the dudes?
They put I don't know.
The wagon can fly on the back, like if you hitch it to the horses.
Maybe they do some kind of ritual somewhere. I don't know.
And they like drop the bodies too. They're not very gentle with them.
No, yeah, that was surprising. Very businesslike.
So Hrothgar is partying with his bros now. It's his wedding night after all. Skull! Rustic bitch face lady comes up to him, and we find out that she's Hildegith, his sister.
I couldn't find her name in any of our existing sources. It seems like it came from elsewhere, from like some other Germanic epic fragment. So just throw one more source into the soup that is these episodes.
She looked like Anna Gasteyer mixed with Princess Fiona from Shrek.
Oh my god.
That makes sense.
I definitely see Anna Gasteyer for sure.
That's a good
Who also has resting bitch face.
Well,
She's great.
but in a good way.
Yeah.
I like the tavern atmosphere up in here. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, they're not in a tavern, but it's like, it's
like a
a
good
fun
time.
party.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's a good party.
Like we were saying earlier, like the design up here is really fun.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to be, like, isn't it supposed to be just like a smaller, sort of like lower scale version of Valhalla?
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense, right?
Because it's like an eternal party.
These guys who worship Valhalla model
Yeah.
their kingdom on it. Yeah.
So Hilda says to Hrothgar, "This Wealthea will never care for you or our people the way I do." What does that mean, you guys?
Vera, we know what you think it means.
How Game of Thrones are we going to get with this? Like, this was the weirdest line.
Odd. I feel like the emphasis was for her maybe the part where she wants the best for the people. Like,
It
she
just
cares
makes it
for our people. But
the way
was
I
weird
do.
to say she'll never care for you the way I do.
I mean,
left
she's
out the
right.
part where she's like, or
she's
are
definitely
people.
right.
I mean, yeah, but what does that mean on his wedding?
It definitely was a weird moment.
Very
Should I
strange.
throw out a coin, Vera? Does it count as
No,
problematic?
it was great.
Okay, I'll leave it. This actually did give me Game of Thrones vibes.
This episode for sure.
Yeah, I just feel like this kingdom, maybe it's also just the high production values. Like, they're doing this kind of court costume drama thing.
Yeah.
Like, they're getting their Game of Thrones on.
Xena did it first.
Hey!
Hrothgar is not into this. He's like, oh, whatever, bye.
Shut up, stop warning me.
Yeah, exactly. And then he kind of like rounds the corner and like finds Wealthea, and they have a scene.
Oh dear.
Yeah, they do.
I'll pick up a coin.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's super horny for her. That's kind of just the gist of it.
The true
She's
Robert
depressed,
Baratheon,
and he's
yeah.
like, "Oh, you had weird feelings as we got married. So did I."
Yeah. And that's when you find out that they have not had sex, and there's
Right.
like this thing where they have to wait until like
The
the
moon is
moon
high.
is high on their wedding night.
She says, yeah, that she's been devoted to him since he pulled her from the icy waters.
What?
So I feel like that's a true, like, there's so many things where it's just like he's probably just made stuff up and said it, but I feel like this is a true thing. This to me feels like
Yeah,
this happened.
she
Like
fell
she
into
was
some
pulled out of
water.
an icy water,
Yeah.
and she remembers that. But maybe it's not.
Who the fuck knows
Yeah.
with this gaslighting, rapey
I
man?
don't know.
Right. So this is where she says that she, has these other ideas.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I thought this part was so interesting. She says that their union has given her a new purpose. As he knows, she has always had, like, her priorities are different from other women's.
Yeah.
Which was such a, like, line. I was like,
Yeah.
what does it mean?
Wish we could have
Right.
seen that in an episode.
That's so interesting. And remember, this is the clean slate Xena.
Yeah.
The person who would be left if you removed Gabrielle and maybe her warrior self or maybe just her essential essence. All these different theories for
Right.
what this is. But kind of what the episode is showing us that she kind of still has all that stuff ready,
Right.
sort of already awakening. Different
Right.
priorities, whatever they are.
Yeah, the stuff. Well, and then as we go through the episode, it is clear that stuff is still in her. So the ring doesn't actually destroy anything.
Right. Just puts it
It
to
just,
sleep
like,
for a little bit.
hides it
For a
little.
year.
Yeah.
Like pushes it down deep.
Yeah, I mean, both she and Gabrielle are asleep in different ways. The episode
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
says that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I guess later you find out that her priorities are kind of political. Like, it's all about wanting to
Sure.
help the Viking people.
Yep.
She likes the idea of kind of social work. I don't know.
I feel like again is part of the like Gab's influence
Yes.
area, but also like it's confusing because at what point did this character start feeling this way about life? Like we only see her post having these little awakenings, but she here is saying she's always had these priorities. So there's some part of her that's always had this impetus to do good for people,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
good.
a Gab's thing.
Yeah, it feels very Gabs.
And
Well,
it's also
no,
a Xena thing
Xena.
too, because
Too.
Xena, again,
That's the
this
birth of
this is
Xena.
why
Xena
was
wanted
she
to
wants to
protect
protect her
exactly
village.
homeland.
what I was just
Yeah.
gonna say. That's why all this stuff is confusing
Yeah.
because like people influence other people and help them become other, different versions.
Right.
Not a different version of yourself, but like people change you in your
Yes.
interactions with them,
Yes.
but you're also still yourself.
Maybe what we're seeing here is that, yeah, Xena's essential self isn't that different from Gabrielle, village girl. Just wants to help people.
It's I was gonna talk about this later when she fights, but she is basically the version that she is here is what Gabrielle is in the show. Maybe like a little bit before how she is now, where she tries to talk to people instead of violence.
Right.
And like that is straight up like what
Yeah.
Wealthea tries to
Does.
do here.
Yeah, we'll see.
So like without Xena, she becomes Gabs.
Yeah, how odd. I'm not sure what the thesis statement is, but it's interesting.
Well,
Hrothgar
is
has
gross.
no time for
yeah,
this.
he's just like, stop talking, woman. And he grabs her by the throat, and he's really threatening here.
You are a Viking queen. Your priorities are as your master decides.
Ugh.
Hashtag men's rights.
Right, he just screams patriarchy in her face.
Yeah.
And then, like, attacks her neck with his mouth.
Ew. Thankfully, Beowulf interrupts.
Ugh. Oh, yeah, I actually found this moment even more awful somehow than
Yeah.
all the previous kind of assault behavior,
Right.
which is when he kind of tries to save face in front of Beowulf and sort of says, oh, you've come to celebrate our most. And then he leans in and gives Xena this horrible kiss.
Yeah.
To kind of, like a kiss of apology that's just so inadequate. And he's like, joyful day. And you're like, oh, kill me. Or kill him. Kill him.
Yeah, and Beowulf is like...
Coin. Could throw some more in.
Beowulf says, perhaps we have met before, and she goes, I think not. And the delivery of that is like the most like miserable ever.
She's not having a great day.
No. Ew. So they leave together, and Hrothgar is like super gross and handsy to her.
Meanwhile, the sister, resting pitch-faced sister,
Hilda.
/ sister wife, maybe.
Oh my God.
comes up to Beowulf and is like, oh, I noticed you and Xena having an awkward moment. Why don't you tell me everything about that? If you want to have a happy ending. I was like, what is this woman's deal? Okay.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, it's nighttime now. Ugh, the moon is high. We know what this means.
Time for some horrible hair brushing.
Well, it's hair brushing in
Hair-brushing,
anticipation of some grossness. And, I like this, physicality with the hairbrush.
I loved it. I thought this was one of the most memorable moments of the episode.
Yeah. She's very, anticipating what's to come. There's a knock on the door. Ugh, it's time for this. So she opens the door, and Hrothgar in his helmet, he's wearing it. Mm-hmm. And she's like, you want to be kinky tonight, master?
Right? Oh, no.
This is great, the way it's shot, I thought, which is you stay on Xena's face for a really long time. You don't cut to Hrothgar in quotes in the helmet.
Yeah.
I thought that was really nice directing by John Fawcett. Stay with Xena. This is a moment about Xena.
He takes the helmet off, and guess what? It's not Hrothgar. It is Beowulf.
Hooray, I guess.
Yeah.
So much better, question mark.
He's acting in this episode like how she was acting in Remember Nothing towards Gabs. Creepy as fuck.
Yeah, not bothering to, be gentle at all about this.
But, they don't know. The person doesn't know. So she's
But of course, how
stay
else
away
is he
from
going to
me.
have access to
Right,
this
but,
newlywed?
she's terrified.
Yeah.
This guy's obsessed with her.
Yeah. She grabs a weapon.
It's her hairbrush.
Oh, is it the hairbrush?
It's the hairbrush.
Oh, Katie and I
bra-
were trying to figure that
She
out.
brandishes it like a sword. It's really great.
Yeah, I
It looked
like
weird. It looked
really
different
weird.
when you were she's holding it out.
She's like, stay away from me, you lunatic.
I like that the hairbrush, which a second ago was the symbol of the, heteronormative thing, the trap she's in, which reminded me of the blue dress, that moment where she's wearing the blue dress and looking at herself in the mirror all the way
second
back
episode?
in
Yeah.
Chariots of War. Here you have the hairbrush kind of doing that job, but then she turns it into a weapon.
Yay!
Remember that line about how she would brush her hair if she met her fans?
Oh yeah! Oh my god! This whole trilogy is
It's about
obsessed
hairbrush.
with Xena's hair and whether or not it's brushed.
Yeah. Beowulf pleads with her that Odin will kill her if he finds out that she's alive, and then Gabrielle will never be saved. And
So
she's
she
like,
hears the
Gabrielle?
The first time she's heard the name, but
Yeah.
she doesn't seem to. It doesn't ring a bell.
But she, notices it.
She
and
notices.
then he tries to, she's not moving, so he tries to grab her, and she then reflexively flips him.
Flipping it out. And she's shocked. She's so
She's
shocked.
like, what? What did my hands just do?
Yeah. Crazy business.
Everything's weird.
Well, I like the way she whispers, Gabrielle. It's definitely like a voice. It's certainly
Yeah.
like a voice.
She's definitely doing a performance.
She's doing crazy
Yeah.
flippy doos.
We haven't talked about her voice throughout with this performance.
It's higher, ladylike.
She's
Yeah.
talking, in her high register. Lucy is doing a performance.
She is, yeah, for
It's
sure.
interesting. Yeah.
Unlike other times.
Unlike other times.
No, but I
yeah.
mean, she's had to create a new performance.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
not playing Xena. I actually have a quote from her, which I thought was interesting about the challenge of this. She says, "It's the first time in a long while that I haven't played Xena as such, and I feel well out of my comfort zone. A lot of the other times have been easy, like Xena with the Furies in her head, or Meg. It's easier to play those variations in comedies rather than dramas. This is almost like playing the shell of Xena.
Right.
Yeah.
I liked that, the shell of Xena.
Yeah. I think you can tell.
Yeah.
It's hard to play somebody where, like, nothing is going on, but then, like, have random lines where maybe implies something's going on, but you don't know what it is.
Yeah, I feel like all of our frustrations with trying to just come up with a simple explanation for what this new character is. Like, I imagine that was very hard for Lucy to kind of go in and be like, who is this new character?
Wealthea?
Who is Wealthea? Like, what parts of Xena have disappeared and what parts remain?
Yeah. And it's not really, like, told to you in the script, unfortunately, so...
But I like that, like, I feel like the way she tries to solve that quandary is to kind of do this much sort of more delicate feminine performance. And it is just such a shock to see that from her after all these years that it kind of works.
I like it. I mean, I like that. I just wish that there was more with this character because I do like it. A raven lands on the windowsill and
Oh, is it Hugin or Moonin?
We don't know. Remember, it's only one raven playing them both.
So that means Odin, I guess, knows she's
Yeah,
here.
he knows already because I don't. Who knows?
This raven's just been flying around into every window in the
he's
world.
a creeper raven. And now he's finally found her.
I followed Beowulf, maybe?
Oh,
That's a good
call.
point.
The
yeah.
timing is
It's
suspicious.
just very suspicious. Like,
The timing
where
for
does this
literally
raven-
everything in this
It
episode
all
is
has to happen
suspicious.
right at the same time.
It honestly sounds like it does revolve around Beowulf. Like everything is, if Beowulf is here, she's having flashes.
He's kind of making the plot go.
Yeah.
That's his role this week.
So right at the moment when the raven is sitting there, Hilda and Roth both like burst into the door, and she's like, "Ha ha ha ha! I told you she don't love you like I do.
Oh no!
She's stipping your best friend."
Oh my god.
Oh no!
And like she's like, oh, seize him, throw him in the dungeon.
Yeah, so
I'm into this. I'm into this like court drama thing
Right.
that's happening. It's so Game of Thrones, and they'll have to have trial by combat and have a champion. I want that plot.
They are seized by the guards, and Hrothgar is like super betrayed.
Oh yeah, he like punches Beowulf, right?
Yeah, and then Hilda has like a line to Xena, like, as if I'd ever have allowed my brother to share our city with some foreign witch.
Oh my god.
I love whenever there's xenophobia against
Xenophobia?
Xena, specifically against her.
Xena.
It seems to happen mostly here. We've had a
Well,
lot of it
it's-
here.
Well, also Rome.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's really interesting whenever that's brought up. So I like it.
I thought Hrothgar's line to Xena, which is definitely a line, but it was a funny line. This line got me. I would have loved you to the end of my lifetime. Now, it seems it will only be until the end of yours.
I liked it, yeah.
It was a good burn. Somewhere Najara would be proud.
Oh man. Do you think she's proud of like just all the like actual burns that people sustain in this episode?
That's
No.
true. It's a lot of burns.
So on the way to the dungeon, Xena is like super confused. She's freaking out that Beowulf didn't tell the truth. So she's like, why the hell didn't you tell what's going on for real? And he's like, because I need you to help me save Gabrielle. And I love that she's like, what for? So he does not answer that, but he does take out all the guards. And Xena watches. She does not do anything.
And of
She
course,
doesn't
this
pick
is
up a
always
sword.
shocking, right?
Yeah,
to
yeah,
have
she
a
just stands and
fight
watches,
scene
yeah.
where Xena's...
Again, this reminds me of Remember Nothing, where
Yeah.
she kind of like had to, based on the rules of that episode. One guard still stands, and he swings his sword at Beowulf's back, and Xena knocks Beowulf's feet from under him. So he's saved, and then she takes out that guard.
Yeah, like flips him down like by the throat. I always
yeah.
like that move.
Yeah.
So Beowulf is like, oh, hey, thanks, you saved me.
And also, PSC, I told you. I needed you.
He extends a hand,
He does.
and Katie,
What?
something tells me this is a Katie part to describe.
Oh, well, Xena looks up at his hand and, oh no, it's not his hand anymore. The camera spends a nice chunk of time just slowly going up Gabrielle's arm. Like, it's slow.
And it's just about as muscular as Beowulf's.
It's good.
She got the man hands like
Good.
from Seinfeld.
So,
No, she does not. She has beautiful hands.
So Xena looks up and doesn't see Beowulf anymore. She sees a person she does not know.
Yeah.
It is Gabrielle, this sort of vision of Gabrielle. And Gabrielle says, I'm lost without you, Xena.
Oh.
Yikes.
The way she delivers it, I thought was really interesting because she doesn't plead. Like her voice is actually very like low. It had this.
She's just saying a statement.
Yeah, it has this just spooky quality that I thought was really cool. Good Renee acting as Gab's ghost. I don't know what
I
to
keep
call
calling her
this.
Ghost Gab.
Yeah.
Because it's not Gabrielle per se.
A vision. Yeah.
Like she's not like projecting out from her
Yeah.
sleep state into over here. It's like
vision
a vision.
gaps, yeah.
It's also interesting that she says, I'm lost without you, Xena, but what it really is Xena's lost without her.
Right. But that's because this is like the Gabrielle tied to her essential self, so it's really all part of Xena. What is the psychology
Oh my
here?
God, my brain just exploded. Yeah, what is the psychology? I don't know. But this was very beautiful and beautifully lit also. I think the way they handle the light on Ghost Gabs is great. Later I'll talk about it more.
Yeah, the next part is
It's
really
really
great
good.
lighting. Does this mean that the voices that were laughing at her were like Gabs?
No.
What? Never.
No.
But that's a theory, sure. We'll never know
Yeah,
about those
we'll never
voices.
Okay, yay, they're going.
She takes the hand.
She does take it, and that means they're gonna go on a boat.
Motherfucker! Look at me now. We haven't had it in a while, okay?
A Viking boat. We're in a Viking boat.
This is funny because it's obviously not Rob's Folly. Rob's Folly was not available for these episodes, I
but
guess.
it's literally a Viking boat.
Yeah,
so it
they
couldn't
got
be.
a That's true.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be designed
Yeah,
that way. It's
yeah.
just so clearly not on the water. This is some of
Yeah.
the like least convincing green screen work we see.
Listen, they spent their green screen on those Valks.
Yeah, they
flying
were
around.
running out.
Yeah.
But who needs a green screen when you've got the ultimate special effect?
Xena's
Lucy, in
boat
this
Luke.
outfit?
Lucy's Luke.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's
Oh my God.
so good. Yeah.
Love this. I love
Yeah.
this so much. I can't believe it's only in one scene.
I know.
Yeah.
What a waste. She should have did the whole episode.
So well, let's talk about it.
Somebody's
This-
finally dressed appropriately for the weather.
it's
number
true.
one.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
hallelujah.
Oh my goodness.
And see, you can look amazingly hot, like with a closed coat.
I mean, she not only has a closed coat, she has like a great hat. It was like serving me Frozen. It was serving me
Serving you
Dr.
Frozen.
Zhivago.
Yeah, this I call her
was
Dr.
perfect.
It
Zhivago.
was serving me like sort of like an ice dancing princess, like an ice dancer who's a princess. I don't know. It was pretty.
She looks great.
The
Yeah.
black hair against the
Yeah.
snow white fur.
Yeah, I have to say, I feel like this might be them trying to be like, remember how we wanted to have Xena and Gabs and Russian Lukes?
That was my
This
thought
was like
too.
their, let's just do this, like, so we could just have it a little bit
Yeah,
at least.
sorry, Rob, we never got to
Yeah.
Russia, but at least Xena's wearing a
Yeah.
furry hat.
But like, it really made me go, oh shit, they would have looked amazing in those
Yeah.
Russian episodes.
This was,
It was
Yeah.
a good. And all the men's jaws kind of like drop, like the soldiers who are rowing the boat.
Yeah.
When they see her.
because she looks incredible.
She
There's no
does.
other reason
Yep,
needed
yep,
for
yep.
why she would literally stop traffic in this look.
It's true, but it turns out, like Wiggs explains, that it's because she's a legend and they want to see her in action. Okay, then the weirdest thing happens, okay? This is so fucking, I can't even. Wiggles is talking to Xena, and Beowulf comes up to him, tells him to go polish his blade, and does like a gesture with his hand as well. I was like, what the fuck is
Oh
happening?
no, I missed that.
It was very odd. He literally tells him to like.
Suggestive move, you were saying.
Yes, it was a suggestive move. I mean, it was a move to polish a blade. He was miming literally polishing a sword blade.
Interesting.
But I don't know like why this
Why?
is happening and why he made the fucking gesture as well. It just really like made the double entendre like even more effective. Like, son,
Quadruple entendre.
sure?
son, it's
He's
time
his
for you
son?
to jerk off. Like,
Are you sure about this?
he's called him dad.
I'm gonna check on this.
Let me check on this.
I love the moment that happens after this where he goes up to Xena, who's looking kind of like upset, and he asks her if she's seasick.
Right.
Which again felt like kind of tying this new version of Xena to Gabs. You know, who's our,
interesting.
you know, of course, when you hear about seasickness, your first thought is Gabs.
I guess.
But I mean, she's not seasick, so it's not like she's actually recalling that.
All
but I felt
right.
bringing that up just again connects it.
Do you think she was ever seasick? Like, is this something that she has learned to, like, not be, or...
I mean, it's true she knows how to cure it.
Yeah.
So maybe at some point she did have to deal with seasickness.
So she, in her state, should be seasick.
She's not, though.
She's not.
She's
No.
fine.
It's fine. No problemo.
She's just uneasy.
Because she was both married and condemned to death on the same day by the same man.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah. Beowulf was like, well, Hrothgar's not the man I used to know. We're no longer bros.
Yeah.
Oh, he does say dad.
I told
Okay.
you.
He's his dad.
I thought you said she could have
Dad.
survived. Dad. Well, sorry to derail, but in Googling it, the Wiglaf is Beowulf's distant cousin in the source.
Okay.
So here he's his maybe son.
It's
says
his son.
dad.
It's,
I mean,
it's
it
his
says
son.
dad.
It's his
Okay.
little buddy.
His little buddy slash son.
The
Yeah.
word dad, D-A-D,
Okay.
dad.
That's pretty, yeah, I can't really argue with dad.
Yeah.
So we have this bit where she's sort of upset at being, given this new name that isn't even hers.
Right, and then Beowulf tells her that Hrothgar gave her this. He found her, gave her this name, and told her she was the sole survivor of a shipwreck. So now we don't really even know
So
what
that
actually
didn't happen
happened to
for
her.
sure. Yeah. Okay. It's very confusing.
Yeah.
But she could have, the water could have been part of the shipwreck story. Like,
Yeah.
the shipwreck is the elaborate lie part of the weird water scenario.
Yeah. She was in the water, but not because she was on a ship that wrecked.
Yeah.
But why was she in the water?
I
Did she
don't
fall off a
know.
boat?
I don't know.
Did she just walk into water?
I can kind of
don't
see
know.
that. Just
Oh,
walked
boy.
right in
Oh, no.
in some moment of freaking
Did she
out.
try swimming and remembers that she can't swim because in
We'll
this
never
state
know.
she doesn't know how to swim for some reason?
I don't know, dude. These are so many good questions. This is the part where she says she expresses regret because she really wanted to be a good Viking queen and do good for the Viking people. Again, yeah, it feels a little bit Gabrielle inspired, but
Yeah.
you're right that Xena herself, had that sense of home and wanting to protect the people she loves. So it's
Yeah.
not out of character at all.
Beowulf tells her that she's Xena, and she picks up a sword and says that
The Xena I remember could do more good with this sword than 100 Viking queens could ever do. The Xena I remember could never forget the face of Gabrielle, the most loyal friend in the world.
oh my
Little
god.
friend or dog.
That really does sound
Companion.
like man's best friend, the most loyal friend in the world. I mean, she is. She is the
Yeah.
most loyal friend in the world,
It's
but it's a
true.
weird way of describing her, especially in this episode where you have so much overt romantic description.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Wah, I don't remember anything." And then he
She
swings.
says, "Wah."
Yeah.
Wah.
And he
Yeah.
swings the sword at her, and then she like reflexively like parries it, and he's like, "Haha, you might not remember, but it's inside you."
I
Right.
loved that moment. I love that close up of the sword, and Xena looks at it and sees her eyes, her blue eyes, reflected in the blade.
Oh my
that
God.
was nice.
Did she remember that time she was in the soup?
Oh no, this was a million times better than any soup.
not-
Yeah, this is not the same.
I'm so offended that you would
She's
compare
in
this
the
to the soup.
I couldn't help but think about it because
No.
I thought that the eyes would start talking back at her, like Xena.
Well, this is that stuff. This is the core
Yeah.
of the stuff that we're trying to talk about her like essence and
Yeah.
warrior nature and core. Like you have this like actual visual of her seeing her own eyes looking out at her in a weapon, like in a sword. It is very
Yeah.
visually compelling about what needs to be restored to her.
Yeah, and that just makes me think of Lord of the Rings, the blade that was broken. That's part of Aragorn's reformation, is that he gets the sword remade, and that's how he returns.
That's a
So-
dick metaphor.
Yeah.
They
Well,
fixed his
then
dick.
what about Xena, who's getting her
Fixed her dick.
Stop. No.
right, we're in Valhalla, and the hat is back. The Valks are sparring, and Odin pets the dog.
Okay, good scene. Moving on.
Oh, good, that little dog pet. That was nice.
I love these hounds. They're doing really good work in Valhalla. They're like literally the only set dressing in Valhalla.
And it's good. I like that touch.
Actually, I like the whole design of Valhalla. Once again, you see those tapestries on the wall. I noticed this episode you can't find the one with the Xena fan art. It's not as prominent.
I mean, you have a different fan art later, but it's...
Right.
Yeah.
Different. Very different. It's a lady in a dress, maybe
Right,
for reasons. I don't know.
Odin tells the Valks that Xena lives, so they gotta take care of it now. The Viking ship has landed. They went across the what is it? The
Great Sea.
The Great Sea. And they're now in, I guess, Norway. Right?
Yeah. Back in Norway.
This is gorgeous.
This is a cool beach set. So there's like some decorations on this beach.
Yeah, they've built some kind of Viking camp, I guess.
Yeah, and there's like these sort of cross pillars that are cool. It really reminded me of like the World War II, you know, the stuff you lay out on the beach so that the boats don't get on there.
It does look like that stuff.
Yeah. Xena is standing in like knee deep in the water, and this is some great shit that's going down.
Yeah, we tilt up the camera so you see, like, I love how you see the skirt all wet in the surf.
It's
and,
beautiful.
Like, it reminded me a little bit, even though it's not really like it at all, but it reminded me of Eowyn, like in those beautiful shots.
With the wind?
Yeah, where she's like in the white dress, kind of in front of her kingdom. You have the sense of her like deep loneliness staring off. I thought of that, seeing Xena in this white dress staring off at the horizon.
Yeah.
It's so windy up there on that mountain. Oh
right, Katie's you've been to Edoras.
So windy. Like if you go back, because as we previously mentioned, we had been watching this recently, but like you can tell how windy it is because in your head it's and it is a extraordinarily beautiful image of Eowyn on that balcony, like looking out. But when you go and like just pause it, like her hair is not just like beautifully flowing in the wind, it is all over her face. It is bananas wind all over the place. And I was like, see, it is accurate up on that silly little mountain. It's not a mountain. I don't know what it is. A little hill.
Xena's hair is behaving,
so behaving. And that thing is, her dress is so pretty. But again, so I really liked that you have her being like, who am I, Hedwig, kind of in this moment, because like we continuously make these water metaphors for Xena, and like I guess that's kind of why I like the idea that she really did fall into this water.
Right,
and
her element is water. Strip everything away. All that's left of Xena is the water.
Right.
What?
I don't know. Let me have this.
Humans are X percentage of water.
Well, yeah, the fact that that's all that's left. And of course, it does. There's going to be what I think is an explicit callback to Bittersweet later. And you think about, them falling into the water there as a kind of, low point in there that they need to kind of emerge from. And so that feels right. That Xena, without a memory, also finds herself in that water. Rebirth.
This is some really great filmmaking here. John Fawcett does this amazing 180 spin around her. And as the camera spins, she's having some memories.
I liked this particular flashback series because it's all women who she remembers.
She remembers the thirsty Rhine maiden.
Our fave Miss Thirsty.
And she remembers Brunnhilda, as a Valkyrie, not as monster Brunnhilda.
And Gabs.
She walks back to the camp after this, and this is where you get a really good sort of glimpse of the physicality of Wealthea. Like even in the walk, it's like slightly more feminine.
This is also where you get a really good look at
the legs.
At the legs.
Yep, they are there.
The slits are like positioned in just the right way because they're wet, I guess, the skirt. So it's legs. It's just legs.
Wiggs sees her and he's like,
legs.
Yeah, and he goes, I'm gonna give her some water. Hey, he ladles it up and he's like, hey, would you like some water? She's like, yeah, I would. And another soldier's like, no, you're not going to give it to her. I'm going to give it to her. And they start fighting. And she keeps being like, what the fuck, guys? Why are you all fighting?
She tries to break it up.
She tries to break it. Nobody. And she's like, why aren't you guys stopping it? There are other soldiers. No one's stopping it. This fight goes on. And then finally she does break it up. And she's like, why do you guys fight so much? And Wiggles is like, well, that's what Vikings do. Fighting gives our lives meaning.
And she repeats that and is like, do you have any idea how stupid that is?
Yeah.
And of course, we're sitting here being like, this is exactly what Xena said 36 years ago.
And then Beowulf comes over and says, this is exactly what you said 36 years ago.
Yeah, that it was Xena who first taught Odin to embrace violence and bloodlust. And she's like, the fuck? Well, now I know I'm not her.
Yeah. And here come the Valkyries. This is some good shit here.
I thought this was the best of the
flying
horse
best
stuff.
Particular because it's not against like the, red, gold sort of like matte. It's like against the blue sky of this beach. Plus also horses on this beach is like the best
Horses on the beach
ever.
is always good.
Yeah. And so this is some good shit.
Yeah, I thought the landing just was especially, even though they're still just employing that simple camera trick of the
but it's like
horses
extra
leaping
good here.
over the lens.
It's beautiful. It's in slow-mo. Oh, it's majestic. But it was like, well, they know who you are and they want you dead.
Time to fight.
Yep.
And this is where Xena goes full Gabrielle season 4. She's just like, no, I'm a pacifist, and I'm not going to let you ridiculous, bloodthirsty Vikings, turn this into a melee. No weapons. I'm going to resolve this by talk alone.
Ooh.
It's such a Gabrielle moment.
Waltraute is eager to kill Xena, though.
Why does she hate Xena so much?
She hates anyone. She's with Odin now.
I guess
that's
so.
why.
So
Any
she's
lady
possessive.
who's with Odin hates Xena. She's the one that got away.
So she sees Xena and is like, long time no see, Xena. I'd like to catch up, but I'm afraid killing you is going to make that a bit difficult.
Oh
See what
my
I
God.
It's a long line. Yeah, it takes a long time to get to the punchline.
Yeah.
So I thought this was interesting, and you see a lot of this throughout the episode, which is Waltraute goes on the attack. She
goes, Xena goes, I will not fight you. And Waltraute's like, yeah, right.
starts
the attack.
Yeah, and I love seeing Xena being so defensive.
Yeah.
All of her choreography is evading the blade and rolling away and flipping away, and she can do all these things. And then eventually the kind of defensive action gets more aggressive.
Yeah.
She starts jabbing the sword away.
Yeah.
There's this evolution in her fighting style, which I thought was really smart.
Yeah.
And also her face journey here. She kind of goes from freaked out, oh no, someone's trying to kill me, to I got this.
Yeah, and then she eventually grabs Waltraute's hand right in an ouchy way.
Yeah. Yeah. So it goes from defensive to aggressive.
Right. And all the canted camera here was really interesting. That was a new sort of thing that we've never seen before.
That's true.
Yeah.
It looked good. Yeah, I think that was part of why the horse's landing looked so good, is that the camera was canted.
I don't
I
really
think
remember
so.
that, but it definitely happened in the fight. So, Odin comes and he touches down, and he rides down screaming, "No!"
He's got a new axe.
Oh, and a new bow.
I love this moment that, it's Odin. It's the god of these dudes. And they all bow to him except, for Beowulf. And he, pulls Wiggles
Yeah,
up.
he pulls him up. Yeah.
He's like, no.
He hates him. He's like,
No bowing. No bowing,
Odin's
son.
gross. We hate him. We hate him in this family.
But Xena, still tries to talk her way out of this. She says, I am not the warrior princess you seek.
And he's like, then who are you? And she's like, I don't know.
She says, I know your name is Odin, but I don't know you from your horse. Which is a great burn.
Yeah, they both have mullets, him and the horse. She can't tell. She has face blindness.
She I don't know, has this look on her face as she talks to him that made me think his breath really stinks, which has already been established.
Yes, she's close talker.
Yeah, so I feel like this is the moment it's true.
He tells the Valkyries to return to Valhalla, and Waltraute's really not into it. She's just there's a million reaction shots of her kind of slowly getting on the horse, but also being like, ugh, I don't want to do this. I want to kill her, Odin, please.
But it is pretty amazing that Xena said she was going to resolve this situation without weapons. And even though she did a little bit of fighting there, she never used a weapon.
Right.
So success.
Mm-hmm. So they take off and they leave these noble warriors to their mission. And back in Valhalla, Odin has to deal with a pissed off Waltraute.
Right, he has to kind of pacify her by telling her he has a new plan. That's why he's left Xena to her own devices for now. He's going to wait for her to get the ring.
Yeah.
And then get it from her because she can't defend herself right now.
Which is a really great plan. I also really loved her line where, like, have you forgotten that Xena has the power to kill gods? And he's like, no,
that as a nice little reminder.
But she has. I like that. Too.
Thanks, episode, for reminding us. But yeah, I like that he says she may have that power, but she lacks the motivation to use it.
She doesn't even know she has it.
Yeah. That's the kind of, but he does, I guess, doesn't realize that.
No, he does. He's like, she has forgotten that she has
okay.
it. Like, he said that.
I like that he talks about it as a motivation. She doesn't want to kill me, so it's fine.
Okay, some really great other stuff with Waltraute here.
Oh, man, yeah. This confused me a lot. I was really confused.
This is so weird. Yeah, this, again, yet another weird line where you go, what?
I'm like, okay. So she thinks, like, Odin loves her.
Yeah.
She loves Odin.
Well, she figured out that he wants the ring, right?
Yeah, for himself.
For himself. And she's like, but baby, you can't do that because you haven't forsaken love.
You love me.
Right? So that's not even like the weird part. She says, you promised that ring to me. What does that mean?
That makes me think that she is pretending to love Odin to get the ring, just like Xena was.
Huh. But like, what is she gonna do? Like, that's the same thing. Where like, you can't have it because you quote unquote love Odin.
You can't have it because you love me. I want it, but I don't. But I love you.
It doesn't make any sense.
Nobody can have the ring. My God, why does anyone even want this ring?
Well, he's like, what can I say, babe? My heart has hardened.
Ugh. He's so silly.
Ooh.
Yes.
The next part is good. Let's go there.
Okay, well,
we got to end with Waltraute's final line.
Yeah, it's a great one.
We got to. Odin has basically told her to leave Xena alone until she gets the ring, but Waltraute is like, fuck that.
Yeah.
I vow Xena won't get close enough to those flames to singe an eyebrow.
Ooh.
Oh, man.
Which, is a stupid line.
Yeah.
But at the same time also shows her assumption that Xena is not going to pass through the flames at all.
Right, yeah,
so
exactly.
That's how much of an unromantic woman this lady is. Mm-hmm. She does not believe that Xena is Gabrielle's soulmate.
Right. She should be watching this show.
Yeah, she hasn't been watching.
So back to Xena. Mm-hmm. She takes off her wedding ring. She's sitting, like, by herself.
I can't believe she's had it on this whole time.
Yeah. She finally takes it off, and then next to her, Gabs enters the scene via sit-up.
Oh my God, I love that. Wait, you skipped so many beats.
Okay.
First she drops the ring.
Oh.
Then the light goes out.
Ooh,
it's like, ooh.
spooky.
And Xena's like dark. It's like darkness on Xena.
Yeah.
Like, totally. And then there is like a sexy bedroom wind that goes by and her hair starts blowing in the wind. And then the light comes back when Gabs enters the scene via sit-up.
Yep.
She's definitely like, it's just funny to think about because Renee is definitely just like laying down outside of the frame. And then like, so it looks like she kind of like slides into the scene, but she definitely like sits up and slides into the scene. So it's pretty funny.
It's a sit-up.
But it's super cute.
There's also always a really good sound, kind of like slow whoosh for whenever there's a flashback.
Yeah, I agree. The sound design is always really effective here. And this is where the lighting, which Katie, you've already talked about a little bit with how it goes out and comes back, but it also changes on Gabrielle. Like you've had this sort of warm, flickering firelight that's been on Xena, but on Gabrielle you get this like almost like cool white-ish spotlight thing happening.
I actually thought it was the opposite. I thought Xena, once they're sitting, Xena is in a cooler color, and then Gab's is kind of like in a darker reddish, warmer color.
Okay, we saw completely opposite versions of this.
I don't remember, but like that's
I always remember Gabs being kind of like warm.
She was in the warmer color. She was like in shadows also, and then by the end of the scene, Xena enters that color, so they're both in the same color.
While they're talking.
Yeah, while they're talking, and the dialogue is amazing.
Oh my god, I love the dialogue.
Go for it, guys.
Because
more?
Are you a demon?
Yeah, that was. I thought this was a very
So
Shakespearean line.
Well, it is, because let's talk about it. Because like, if you're thinking about this, Gabrielle is just Gabrielle talking to Xena, but it's Xena talking to herself.
Wait, is there? What is the line? Fuck, is there something? Hamlet is in Denmark. What is the line?
Something's rotten in the state of Denmark.
Yeah,
Well, she says
because she's like talking. She's crazy. Is there some Hamlet shit here?
Yeah, I think so. You got Denmark, you got a ghost, you got some madness.
Yeah.
She says, "Are you a demon or my own mind made mad?" Which is a lot of M's. My own mind made mad. The demon and D and the demon. That's a good. Are you a demon or my own mind made mad? It is very poetic sounding.
It's also fun because we've totally seen Gabs be a demon, and we've seen Xena's mind made mad.
Good show.
Both of those things are not this.
You get like this almost face touch.
Oh yeah, the almost face touch is really good. It's
and
really
then you
pretty.
Get, I am the truth of who you are. And our souls are united.
Yeah, Xena.
The truth of who you are.
Yeah.
And then when she touches her cheek, like Xena is knocked
Freaks
out.
out because she jumps up and then
vision.
Gabs is gone.
Yeah.
This is where you feel like Gabrielle is being used almost to symbolize her Xena's self.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how it's all tied together. See?
Gabrielle is Xena.
Oh my god.
What?
This is so difficult to talk about because it's like this sort of thing where you probably can write like 20 different versions of an essay about the psychology of Xena, and everybody has a different opinion about what is what. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just like for the purposes of this episode where you are dealing with her, sketchy past, and like this whole thing of who is Xena or what have you, to have Gabrielle say that is like tied to the essence of how she is as a warrior, and Gabrielle makes her be like the best version of herself that there is.
Yeah, that's really well put. The best version of herself.
Yeah. So that's the truth there, at least as I'm thinking about it right in this moment. Probably have a different thought in an hour when we're done, but there you go. Anyway, it's also romantic again because of the lighting and the talking and the face touching.
The talk of souls being united. Mm-hmm. Which sounds like marriage.
Yeah.
The union of these two souls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beowulf comes in and he asks if Xena's okay, 'cause she's like freaked out in the middle of the room. And she goes, Gabrielle really loved this Xena, huh? And he's like, yep. And yep. And she will till the end of time. Gabrielle saved you from what you were, as you must now save her.
I love that.
Oh, that's what I just said.
Oh, shit.
Beowulf said it too.
I love it. But then I like that, going from, this beautiful conversation about Gabrielle, Xena's mind turns to kind of the other side of her identity and says Xena created this monster.
Yeah.
That the men have been whispering about. Mm-hmm. I liked that.
Yeah.
Gabrielle created, the best version of Xena.
Yeah.
The worst version of Xena created Brunnhilda, the worst version of Brunnhilda. Kind of go through the whole spectrum of, good to bad.
Yeah.
Okay, but and now here's your Return of the King stuff where he gives her a chakra back.
He does the Elrond in the tent thing where he's like, here's your shit. I have come to bring you your shit. Here it is. He returns her the chakram and says, she's like, what the hell am I going to do with this weird round thing?
Yeah.
And he's like, you'll know when the time comes.
Yeah.
You'll know. I was like, oh my God, how's she going to use it? It's going to be some kind of badass fight move. I like that they subvert your expectations.
I loved that. Yeah. I really did. Although she definitely could have accomplished that with like a dagger or like her teeth.
No, but you were making all these jokes before, but not? Well, chakram, her round killing thing is, the feminine version of her sword and
That's
such.
true, yeah.
Putting more import on her chakram than the sword is.
No. Her chakram
it's the
is
chakram that
her
can
specific
free
weapon.
Gabrielle, not the sword.
Right.
The badge, not the dick.
Woo!
Yay!
I really love that close-up of Xena holding the chakram.
Right, yeah.
And it dissolves to a shot just of, beautiful, misty, dark,
B-roll.
boggy B-roll.
Also, she's not bleeding from it this time.
Right.
That's an improvement. Yep.
Yeah, so here they come.
The Eastern Bog.
Our fave fucking bog.
Always end up back in the Eastern Bog.
Yeah.
Wait, what'd you say it was really called? The
East Wind Bog.
Oh, East Wind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Xena, Beowulf, and Wiggles are stepping towards the flame.
I like the wide shot because legs.
Yep. Legs everywhere.
Legs.
Lots of legs.
Beowulf reassures Xena that she's the one that can pass through the flame.
Mm-hmm.
Brunhilda's flames will recognize her as Gabs' soulmate.
Indeed.
I love the expression on Xena's face when she just first sees through the wall of fire. She can't even really see Gabrielle yet, but
She just sees the flames, and that's really scary. And also, I really love the shot of the flame. They look up and see it. That they go all the way into the
to
sky.
the moon,
Cool.
To the moon,
all the way to the moon.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's dramatic, and I love that this is this feels very mythic to me. You know, the testing of a hero. Like, can you walk through the fire? Can you have faith in yourself to do that? I like that she has this moment of doubt.
Mm-hmm. And sure enough, Brunhilda's face recognizes Xena.
This was my least favorite thing in the episode. Just the effect. I love the imagery of, Xena standing next to this wall of fire, her hand reaching out for it. So gorgeous, so beautiful. Why did a CGI face have to appear in the middle of that?
Because Brunhilda needed to be in it, okay?
Her
Brittany
voice,
Powell.
Her voice is enough.
I liked it. It was like the T-1000 effect, but like in flames.
You're really selling it.
It's good. T-1000's great.
Yeah, so she says, Xena, the love in your heart burns stronger than any flame.
Aww.
You belong together, Xena. This feels like an echo of her own comments about Gabrielle, that the goodness, the beauty in her burns brighter than a star.
Right,
So Xena's love burns stronger than a flame. Brunhilda's very into burning.
That's her thing. That's kind of her
She's
thing.
an arsonist.
I don't even know that, I needed that.
I don't think I needed
just
it.
wanted her to stick her hand through and walk.
I really did. You know what I really wanted? Bittersweet.
Fire faces.
Bittersweet.
So
bittersweet. Yes,
with this wall, this wall blocking Xena and Gabs, her
Yes.
reaching for it. I love that instead
And then
of
she
the
pulls
wall
her-
of water, it's the wall of fire. I feel like this is going back to our earliest conversations about the elements and what they mean in Xena. I think the fact that we've gone from water to fire is really interesting. I don't know what it means.
And also the vines are earth, and that's Gabs' element.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And actually, I do know what it means. I feel like it used to be that fire was very associated with Callisto, destruction, all of the horrible things Xena did. A lot of them involve burning people and things.
They do indeed.
Put a pin in it, there'll be even more.
So much burning.
But I feel like this episode is kind of like recontextualizing fire to not be destruction. It's love. It's passion. Yeah, I feel like that it's nice that finally fire has lost that violent aspect, and now it's just love.
Yeah. I guess you can pin and argue that it was sort of like that in upcoming episode.
Okay, put a pin in that. Yeah. Gonna have a fire conversation.
Eternal flames.
Bringing it back.
Still can't sing it.
Bringing it back.
So, okay, Xena reaches out. She touches the flame, but Waltraute flame blocks.
Oh my God, why would you flame block this beautiful moment, Waltraute?
She wants Xena dead.
She just runs up. There's a great shot of her just sprinting, going.
So this fight breaks out, right? Because the Valks attack. And then this is where Xena remembers flips.
This is where she remembers flips.
She knows how to
Once
flip
again,
now.
you get kind of the defensive
Yeah.
first, and then she gets more and more aggressive as the fight proceeds. Like, Waltraute does get her, though. Like, gets her in the shoulder.
yeah.
And then has a line about it. She's like, it makes me sick to see you grown so soft, Xena.
Which is exactly what Admiral Adama said to Fat Lee
Oh, no.
on Battlestar Galactica.
Boo! Thumbs
Yeah.
down, thumbs down. But Xena has, I think, a really powerful line.
Yeah.
One of my favorites of the episode, even though, I'm still a little unclear on, like, what the thesis is. But she says that softness and weakness are two different things. This is quite a thing for Xena to say, because,
Yeah.
this is more of a Gabrielle line. So to hear it from Xena, I feel like is quite striking.
She also tells Waltraute that she has no quarrel with her, but Waltraute says that Xena sounds like one of those pathetic lovesick boys who burn themselves to a crisp.
That's because she is a lovesick.
Yeah.
Though it's unclear. She does love Gabrielle, even from afar, you feel like. But this, to me, is more about, in this moment, just, a noble sacrifice. She's being the hero. She's stepping through the flames. It's only once she remembers who she is that love of Gabrielle kind of supersedes everything.
So her, like, xenifying is progressing because Wiggles throws her a sword and she catches it. And then...
The cat screams. She remembers,
Yeah, she remembers
how the
that.
cat
Yep,
screams.
that's coming back. It's all coming back to me now. Then it's, like, so confusing. More weird shit starts happening, like how the other Valk, Siglinda, that's her name, she throws a dagger at Wiggles and, like, stabs
Kills
him, but he doesn't kill him, but she stabs
he's
him.
just out of the fight.
Yeah, that was weird. All right. And then Beowulf, of course, like, attacks her. Xena starts fighting Waltraute with the sword.
Waltraute eventually gets Xena, like, on the ground with, like, the crossed swords and is like, her final line. And guess what? She's about to be outlined, which is one of my favorites. And
Xena remembers lines.
Xena finally remembers lines.
In and out, quick.
That's her. She's complete now. I've been waiting a long time for this, Xena. Xena says, wait longer. Oh, it's good. I love this line. This might be my favorite line.
Yeah, it's good.
Shit, man. She kicks her into the flame.
Yeah.
And Waltraute is burnt to a crisp.
Yeah.
I love some
Skeletor.
smoked trout.
Smoked trout!
No! Is it really? Does it say trout in there?
Well, it's trout like, AU, but in German it would be au.
Gotcha.
Trout.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, trout.
So then Beowulf kills the other Valk. And he tells Xena to hurry up and jump in the flames.
Get a move on, Xena!
When suddenly, remember who is really good at sneaking now?
She's always been good.
No, she's been lumbering around in the woods.
That was Grindel.
That was
Oh,
brutal.
shit. Okay. She's delicate. She's a delicate tree.
Yeah, delicate tree lady.
Well, she skewers Beowulf like through the shoulder with her little finger.
This to me, I'm pretty sure it's Aliens. I thought it was the death of android guy in Aliens.
Oh yeah, it is.
Is it? Is it the same shot? Like he gets speared and
Spoilers.
lifted up.
Spoilers
Oh,
for
sorry.
Aliens.
Well, I just said
just
android
kidding.
guy.
Yeah.
So we don't know
You
who's
know,
an android in
yeah.
Aliens.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense than it's reverse T1000 Sarah Connor.
Oh my God, you're so obsessed with T1000.
Yeah.
It's definitely an Aliens reference.
It is. You're right. It is. Well, because we're doing Aliens references with
Porcupine Monster.
Yeah. Okay, so he's like lifted in the air, and you're like, oh my God, he's definitely dead for sure. His there's like all this blood coming out of his mouth.
This is like the third time
this
Beowulf
guy's
has, like,
body
seemingly
is
died.
like, oh my God, he's just been skewered throughout this whole series. And Xena's like, okay.
Yeah.
And she does like a Superman fly right into the flames.
I hate this. You were so close to doing a badass, memorable walk through fire shot, like in slow mo. It could have been
They
so
could
hot,
not afford
so
that.
literally hot.
I know. They could. Well, why could they afford this?
They were like, this is the best we can do.
Why does she need to Superman fly
like
through
if she's
there?
flying
a lot
through
of-
it, she could just superimpose walk. Even
I don't know.
looks stupider.
Yeah,
but
it's
anyway,
so dumb.
who cares?
There's also like slow.
I like
yeah.
the stills in
The
the
stills.
background.
This is
so
where I
let's
missed
talk about
Rick.
it.
I wanted
Yeah.
some slow-mo. Rick!
Yeah.
Why hast thou forsaken us, Rick?
Jeff wants to give you a lot of slow
Silly.
mo.
All right. Listen. This whole sequence is awesome. Like, it's got good content in it. It just looks very silly when she dives through the flames. If you love it, good for you. But
You
it
probably
looks
don't love it
really-
because of this.
You don't.
Yeah, no, this is not the
don't
part you
get
would
us
love.
wrong. This scene is amazing.
Yeah.
It just did not. I
to
think
be this way.
need to have
Right.
the flying jump. I think like you were saying with the bittersweet and the walking through the watery curtain stuff.
That burned
Like,
her too.
Yeah.
Right.
That like just a nice little walk through would have been more dramatic and romantic. But however, we do have her flying through some stills
Yeah.
that they
There's
pulled.
some stills
So
from the show.
before we get to the montage, we have stills in
Yeah.
the background. So while she's flying, we get image of from God-fearing child of Gabs and Xena when Xena's giving birth to Eve. We get one against an army. Yes,
Yes, I think when she's been injured by
like
the...
poison arrowed Gabs. We get what we think is the end of Fallen Angel, or potentially the beginning of Chakra, probably the end of Fallen Angel, after they've been resurrected. We get when in Rome, when Gabs throws, a ring off
Oh
Rings.
shit.
a boat.
Rings are always bad.
We
Yeah.
get the last one is Xena's fucked up eye, and Gabs is holding her, and who's Gurkhan?
Kind
That's
of
a lot of stills.
a lot
Yeah.
of interesting selection.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I can really draw a line through them. Like,
I
why
only
these?
only
When we get
Gurkhan
more stuff
matters.
with the montage too.
Gurkhan
Yeah,
matters.
because that
Ghost Gabs.
Ghost Gabs. Well, Vision Gabs.
Vision
Who
Gabs.
helps Xena.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And obviously,
they're
one
big
against an army
moments.
is always
They're-
important.
Yeah.
There are these huge moments.
That's true.
They
They're all
have-
big.
Yeah.
They're just, I don't
More or
know.
less.
It's an unlikely assortment somehow.
So she's inside the Ring of Fire now, and she sees Gabs under her vines, and she now knows what to use the chakram for, just to cut
Some gardening.
some gardening. She cuts Gabs free, and then
Kiss the girl. That's the wrong movie.
That's true.
Sorry.
This is full on Sleeping Beauty because in the source material for the ring cycle, which is, I think in this case, the Volsunga,
Yeah.
like Brunnhilda is not woken from her enchanted sleep by a kiss.
She's not woke.
I guess she's just shaken awake. I don't exactly know.
She just shakes
That's
her.
not romantic.
Bitch, get up.
But yeah, the addition of the very romantic kiss is from Sleeping Beauty.
Nice.
Excellent.
Well, kiss.
Yeah.
And
A kiss.
there's a flashback situation.
Can we
Or
talk
that
about the
happens.
kiss?
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
They kiss.
They
It
kiss.
happens, yeah.
It's not like there's no like you
No.
know metaphysical. I'm in a man's body, or let's cut to Autolycus. There's the hanky panky.
Can you imagine
Hanky-panky.
suddenly Autolycus appears?
Oh shit.
I'm glad he doesn't.
Oh,
They
God.
just do a kiss.
Yeah, it's just straight up a kiss.
Very straightforward. It's time to kiss. This
Yep.
is like they're referencing one of the most romantic fairy
Yep.
tale images you can
Possibly
think
think of.
Did she did she know that's what she had to do? Like, you have to get in there and you have to kiss her.
of. No,
Like, did
no
they-
one told her.
She just was like, let me just uncut
I
you and then I'm
she
just going to
wants
kiss
to.
you.
She wants to.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what's so wonderful about it. She
But-
just wants to.
Yeah, like it boggles the mind that anybody watching it wouldn't think of Sleeping Beauty and wouldn't consider it romantic. I'm sure there's a lot said about this on the internet. Did you say there was some kind of quote about it? I feel like you're talking about
Oh, yeah. Well, Lucy was talking about the kiss.
Right. Yeah. It's just,
how they had to film it in a particular.
well, for like figure out the motivations that would
They didn't just want it to
work.
be a sexy kiss.
Yeah,
they wanted
it had
it to
to
be
be-
a
it had to-
necessary for plot kiss.
right. So you
Okay.
could tell the people who were not into it that it was, you know, legit reasons for it.
They basically just had to sell it. It was the only thing that could happen in this moment.
right.
right.
And I
it was
think
like
they
the
did.
breath
You
of
can't
it was-
shake her awake.
Yeah, it was
Can you
like
imagine? Wake up!
yeah, it's just like a breath of life type of kiss.
So it's also
Sure.
a tender, loving, romantic kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very soft.
There's no way to get away from that.
It's for
That's
the people
what
the
it
people who
is.
see them only as friends.
I mean, it's pretty
Okay.
clear that they were like, season 6, give
Yeah,
no fucks.
no fucks.
They kiss now.
Yeah.
We don't have to hide this. We don't have to come up with excuses. We've placed them in this, romantic fairy tale arc. They kiss.
Yeah.
I also think it's a great kind of feminist reworking of
Yeah.
the fairy tale, not only because we have 2 women in these roles, but just, rather than having this idea of, kiss the sleeping princess to claim her because you're her true love. She doesn't know you yet, man, but you're kissing her. Like, this is Xena reunited with Gabrielle.
Yeah.
Right.
These 2 have kissed before. This
Right.
isn't taking a liberty. This is,
Yeah.
These are 2 equals.
Oh, it's so nice.
So now you get the proper flashbacks.
Now you get a real montage, not just stills.
Yeah.
What do we got here? Now we have quotes, like, from various other episodes over clips from different episodes.
Yeah, it's a little confusing.
So we have baby Gabs and Xena campfire times,
Aw.
sins of the past.
Oh.
You hear her say, "You're my best friend, my family," from One Against an Army. Gabs says, like, "Hey, I just saved your life," which I'm assuming is early.
Sins of the past, I think.
Yeah, it seems she sounded very tiny. I get some between the lines images, the end of the abyss, because why not?
Well, I think the editor loves
They're like-
the abyss just as much as you do,
That
Katie.
part where they're laughing at that. I'm Rubio.
Oh, right. Everybody's
Stuff
favorite.
right.
Rubio.
Oh, that's where she wanted to
LOL.
go eat her.
You hear Gabs again. I'm not the little girl my parents wanted me to be.
Also Sins of the Past.
You
Yeah.
get Sin's imagery again in
In the tomb.
the tomb.
Yeah.
And you hear it's hard to be alone, and you're not alone.
Oh, so good.
I like
Yeah.
how much Sins is in there.
Yeah.
I think that's not, very nostalgic. We've had so many of these romantic montages at this point, that it's interesting to try to mix it up. And in this case, I think they've kind of deliberately sampled from some of the oldest stuff to
Yeah.
really hit home just how much, Gabrielle has evolved.
Right.
Seeing little baby Gabs by the campfire, you just go, oh my
Oh,
God.
I know.
Who
Sweet
is
little
that?
summer child.
And again, that here we are, like, returning to the beginning as
The return of the
kind of
Gabs.
full circle situation where you're seeing all this stuff.
Like a ring, full circle.
Oh, shit.
So
Yeah.
the kiss moment restores everybody to themselves, including their clothes.
Right.
That's nice.
But
The one thing that was
not-
missing.
But not Gabs' hair.
No, because
Okay, all right, Vera. Go off, Vera. Go off.
Why not
I don't
her hair
get
as
it.
well as the clothes?
Yeah.
Because it actually grew over the year.
But it was magically grown in the first place.
No, it wasn't there in
But she had a
at the end
braid.
of the ring.
She had a
Yeah, they
little
should
flower
have full
Yeah,
makeover.
she just had a little, like in the original
But she has a
version.
braid now.
Yeah.
But like, who
braided
braided
it.
it?
I think
Brunnhilda.
Brunnhilda Firearms came out and did a little braid.
Oh my god, what else did Brindle Firearms
Magic.
do?
Don't ruin it.
No,
Absolutely
Coin.
not. Absolutely
Coin.
not. Not even funny. Not
Coin.
even funny and horribly traumatic
Oh
for Gabrielle.
no.
Stop it.
Oh no.
No, bad. But anyway, that's fun. I do think the clothes thing is funny, but like it serves as a great visual for them actually being who they are now again. Like they're literally restored, and her hair is totally fine for most of the episode. I think there are only like 2 shots from behind where it looks like a stupid wig. I think it's not that bad. I know people have problems with it, but it's like I like it.
I actually really like it, and I think they should have kept it.
F not.
I'm not even being a troll right now. I liked the long hair.
I actually thought it brought to light how absurd like her old hair would look on this new Gabrielle.
I mean, yeah, it does.
So, like, it was interesting because she's not the same person as when she had long hair.
Especially we just saw her in the clippy-doos with the long hair, and now seeing it, you're like, that's not who you are. But still, I liked it. It's pretty. I would have been okay if they used this as an excuse for her to have long hair.
In an episode that's about like identity, I like that. Yeah, it feels off.
Yeah,
like, you can tell that it feels off, but it also still has like the fairy tale like braid stuff in it. So it's like she couldn't get rid of that portion of like what had just happened to them yet.
It is weird that she can't be the beautiful princess that all the men want to pass through fire for if she has short hair. Like, why not, you know?
Right?
Well, I just thought, like, I mean,
in her clothes,
I don't know how fast hair grows, but, like, it just was realistic that her hair would be longer.
Yeah, she has been lying there for a year.
It's just funny that it was braided, because it's like, that is, like, what? Okay, so they're back in their outfits, as you said. They hug. And
they say,
sorry, I just like laughed at myself for like this whole episode's plot and everything going on, and I'm like, oh, but her hair would have grown. Jesus, that's like realistic if it didn't grow.
So she should have like nasty fingernails and stuff.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. No. Oh, God. Anyway, let's go ahead.
They say names. It's name time.
Yes.
Xena.
Gabrielle. She said, I dreamed you'd come back for me. And then Xena's like, oh, I forgot you for a year.
Yeah, she's like, well, it was like I was in a dream, too. Yeah. I like that. I like that they were both in different ways asleep for this episode. But we were not. We were awake. We had to watch it.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was super fun. Come on.
I forgot everything, but even though I didn't remember you, I felt your presence.
Creepy.
No, absolutely not.
Vera.
I still think she was laughing at her at the end.
Stop ruining
She
it.
said it was madness.
Face touching.
Yeah.
I knew I would never be complete until those shadows were brought into the light.
Which is interesting because we were talking about the light and the shadows.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. There's been a lot of play with light and shadows, and of course, fire being so important to these. It's interesting imagery.
Speaking of fire, the flame is kind of like done, so she's kind of leaving.
Yeah, it seems like Brunnhilda's flame like gets sucked up into the ring. Did you see that effect? As if Xena herself had control over the flame, which I thought was interesting.
But also her job is done.
All right, we should say that like Gabs gives Xena the ring now.
Oh yeah,
that happens.
Yep, that happens.
Gabs proposes.
Aww.
She gives her a ring, and Xena's like, "Oh my god!"
But she's like, "Don't put it on again."
Don't put a ring on it.
Yeah. And Brunnhilda is like, "Sup, guys? I'm still here."
Still beating the shit out of Beowulf.
Yeah, she throws him around.
So now Xena says, I forged this ring. Now I have to use it to undo the evil that it's caused.
Yeah.
So she just sort of kind of holds it.
Yeah.
It's sort of odd. Just holds it. It's like brandished, like ring.
She does this war cry, like big old war cry, and flips at Brunnhilda, and then Brunnhilda bats her like midair into her cave.
And they have this fight in the cave. But of course, it's not really a fight because Xena, I think, in a really interesting echo of Wealthea, is not using violence or weapons.
She tries to reason with her.
She tries to reason with her, and she does all the defensive moves whenever Brunnhilda attacks.
Yeah.
She says, you weren't always this way.
Aww.
It was my actions that turned you into this beast. I put the evil into this ring. I can undo it too, if only... And then Brunnhilda's like, time for a deadly hug.
Yay,
my specialty.
My fave, the rib crusher. She picks her up, and Xena's like, please chillax and let me fix this.
She says, Brunnhilda, look inside your heart. Find the woman you once were. And then she does what I, again, think is a bittersweet reference and just says, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. Totally reminds me of that last song where she says, like, forgive me, like, 30 times.
Yeah. And then...
And it works.
And it was really good. So you have these, like, close-ups of Brunnhilda's monster face, and she does a lot of Elvis lip. And it was really cool because you never really see, like, the creature face in light.
That's true.
And it was, like, the first time you really saw it.
We get a very good view of it.
But this is, like, her reacting to what Xena said.
What do you think her reaction is?
Elvis lip.
I guess she liked it.
I mean, she's like, yeah, okay, I will.
So then, like, the ring starts glowing, and Xena starts screaming, I guess because of the hug.
Yeah.
And, like, there's, like, a big bright light, and then there's, like, a fire explosion.
Yeah.
And the, like, sound design is going crazy with, like, ringing noises.
The earth shakes.
Ringing, the earth shakes. Just,
Yeah.
like, it's, like, everything is epic. You're not quite sure what's going on.
And you
but
think
you
that
understand
Xena's dead.
that it's epic.
Yeah, they exploded in there, in that cave. But that did not happen.
We see Gabs and Beowulf diving away. When they recover and look up, Xena just comes, like, sauntering out.
Yeah.
And she's like, yo, I got this Rheingold. It's been unforged.
Yay, the Rheingold's back to being its little nugget self. And also, Beowulf is fine, and he checks on Wiggles, and Wiggles is fine.
Well,
no one's
phew,
dead,
so
even though
that-
they've been dead a million times already in this
Everyone's
episode.
fine. Phew.
Yeah, and then, surprising bit of information here.
The return of the Valkyrie.
Yep, Valkyrie returns. It's Brunnhilda. She's back
This
as a
just
lady.
trips out of the cave
Yeah.
and doesn't say anything.
It's so weird. It's, like, the weirdest.
It's weird.
It
She
made
has,
me uncomfortable.
she has no dialogue.
No,
she's
just one line.
She does have a line. I
When
thought she
they're in
didn't
the
have
sky.
in
anything.
the sky, and then later in Valhalla,
Oh.
she starts coming back to herself. I wonder if
Okay.
they thought she was traumatized or something from
But
being
she
a
doesn't
monster.
look like it. She's just kind of like,
She's just sort of a smiley and
Yeah.
looking around. It's so weird.
it's very.
It's
really
very weird.
I don't know. I mean, clearly they had some kind of problem with, like, how to have this character register the 30 years she spent as a tree.
Yeah.
And then also she had a tree son who died.
Yep.
So, I don't know. It's a lot. It's awkward.
So then we start having like the end, the one of the millions of ends to this episode.
Okay, that's the other
begins.
thing about
Yeah.
the ending of a trilogy, infamously, especially with Lord of the Rings. You gotta have a ton of endings.
Yeah. So this is the first one where they have to say goodbye to Beowulf and Wiggles. Xena thanks Beowulf for bringing her there, and he's like, no problem. He tells her that she's the greatest warrior he's ever known. They hug. And he's cool with the fact that Xena and Gabs are OTP.
Yeah.
All right, well, great. You should have been like that from the beginning, idiot.
It's a really weird like shot of Wiggles like in between them.
Just
I
sort
don't
of
know.
looking,
yeah,
being like, what's going on?
Why am I in this episode?
I don't
yeah.
know. But I love that Beowulf himself sort of does a why am I in this episode? Because, like, when Gabs goes up to him and gives him a hug, being like, thank you for saving me, he's like, well, she says, thank you for saving me. If it weren't for you, I'd still be in Brunnhilda's flame. And Beowulf is like, no, Xena would have found you eventually.
Right.
I like that he points out that he didn't do anything.
It's so much
Yeah.
fun. This guy
He's not-
who's like this epic.
I mean, he did
character
do stuff.
of-
He had to get her.
He got the shit beat out of him many times by various monsters that he never succeeded in
Yeah,
killing.
but
He never did, yeah.
a dude character who is from literally Beowulf
Yeah.
at the end of this episode is like, I'm so ineffectual, but that's awesome. Come on.
I'm
Yeah.
a model of Anglo-Saxon masculinity. I'm completely incompetent. Goodbye.
I think that's great.
Yeah, it is pretty great.
Gabs then turns and thanks the emptiness that was once Brunnhilda. And her voice goes, Godspeed, Gabrielle.
Strange.
Shouldn't it be
So
like God's speed?
Is she just gonna hang out invisible in this glen?
I think
I
she
don't
left.
know.
She's done.
It's sad.
Back to Valhalla?
Is she dead? Is
gone
she like in
forever?
essence?
I don't
Is
know.
She just,
No.
it's upsetting.
What's the afterlife for a Valkyrie that's turned herself into an eternal flame?
Yeah, I don't know. You'd think she would be able to turn herself back, but that's
Nope.
not what
That's
it
why
is.
it was such a sacrifice.
Yeah. So then she's just
She's gone.
maybe she's just hanging out in that one, like you're wandering around through the woods and suddenly like
A voice says,
Sup, person? Did you know I was once a flame? So there's 2 horses left by those Vax that they killed. And Brunnhilda gets up on one, and Xena and Gabs get up on the other.
I love that Gabs needs a little stepping stool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
cute.
that was a pretty clever move there to get her up easily and not awkwardly. And they fly off. Here they come to Valhalla.
Pretty sunrise shots.
Yeah, it's
very
that fucking that's their usual Valkyrie flying around
Nice.
sky. Luke.
Gabs looks a little disconcerted, but
Yeah.
then she's having fun.
I like this. This really reminded me, like the shots of Gabs and Xena on the flying horse kind of remind me of when Superman carries Lois.
Oh, I
Yeah.
like
Where
that.
she's like scared, but also like, this is cool.
Yeah.
And that was exactly what Gabs was doing. She's scared, but then also was like, this is cool.
Yeah, that's a really nice reference.
Pretty scary. They're really high up.
Yeah. And she, it's probably better if you're like in the saddle, holding the reins,
Yeah.
hanging
Yeah,
on.
because
Yeah.
then when they like...
She's really grabbing onto Xena. I like
and
that
then
little
Brunnhilda's
torso.
like, let's go, or whatever. They have an awkward moment between that I think is awkward. It's supposed to be like a reconciliation moment again, where
Yeah.
they're like Xena and Brunnhilda acknowledge each other, and they kind of like wink nod at each other
Yeah.
like, hey, but like it's just so weird and awkward. Anyway, so Brunnhilda's like, let's go, and Gabs like literally like clings for dear life.
Yeah.
Because you kind of see the horse take like a dive up and then go up.
Yeah,
and
they
she's
stepped
like,
on the
"Woo!"
gas.
Yeah, exactly. Like tighten the seatbelt.
So they're back in Valhalla, and Odin's like, oh shit, Xena, you're back. And he's like, did you bring the ring with you? And she goes, well, I brought something else that belongs here in Valhalla.
Brunnhilda!
Hey.
Nice reveal. She says that Brunnhilda was the best thing that ever happened to Valhalla.
Okay.
Before it was poisoned by my bloodlust. Yeah,
That's kinda true,
my
I
response
guess,
is
yeah.
there, I mean, Brunnhilda seems nice and all, but she seems sort of like representative.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a particularly
Yeah, it seemed like everybody was like that.
special
Yeah.
Valkyrie, but I guess all of the other Valkyries have now been replaced by people like Waltraute. So
yeah.
maybe Brunnhilda is the best of the best.
She wants to be head Valk again. And Odin's like, ugh, I'll think about it.
And Xena gives him the greatest death stare in the world.
Yeah.
And I love that this death stare is just there, and you understand that what it means is, hey, I have the power to kill God.
Yes. I love
But she
it.
doesn't say it.
I love that
She
it wasn't
doesn't
said.
say it.
I love it. Yeah.
And she just says, don't think too long. And he's like, welcome back, Brunnhilda. Because he's a flop.
Yeah,
I
he's a
love that this
fucking
guy has
flop.
no backbone. Props
Yeah.
to Odin. I enjoyed this character.
So then Xena and Gabs leave. And Xena says that she's still shamed about something she did 35, should be 36 years ago.
Yeah.
I guess.
36 years ago, yeah, they fucked it up. They keep fucking up the years.
Gotta fix one more thing.
Yeah. Well, before she does that, Gabrielle has those great lines about how she's like, it's okay that these memories bother you, Xena. It's the power of memory that brought you back to me. I thought that was a really beautiful sentiment. Yeah. And, I think a nice thing for the show to say that, like, Xena's past is important.
Right.
Yeah.
Bad memories
Functions.
as well as good are
She
important.
functions with it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Xena.
Yep.
I know. It's just that it's so. Her line specifically is just like, even though it was so long ago, it feels like it was yesterday. Because like the power of like having feelings that are like shame is such a huge like overpowering feeling, and just that it's sad whenever she talks about it. That's all.
Yeah, she still feels it. Yeah, we understand that those flashbacks that are for us, to understand what's going on, are really like what Xena sees in her mind all the time. She sees that person she used to be, and she's like, "Oh my God, what was my hair doing?"
So like, it's so sad. And I don't know, Xena. Like, obviously, we've been trying to kind of suss out the difference between what the episode is positing as Xena's essential self versus the idea of the ring taking away what you value the most. Like, here's where it becomes like trickier for those two concepts to kind of play side by side in a way that sits right, because you have Xena Like, I think that when you say what is her essential self and you consider it to be like this warrior spirit or her warrior self, that makes sense. But then you have like the point of view of her own self and like what she values as a part of that, or what is the thing that she most values, like are very tied together. But to hear when she talks about this part of her life and her past that is all part of herself,
her warrior self,
with such shame and regret and pain and trauma, that it's hard to consider it like what she values the most without the like side of the episode that is about what Gabrielle influences into that. Like, so I have a hard time going like, yes, this is my favorite part of me versus like, what is your essential self that you're not like something that sounds to me like something you don't think about as a person, you know what I mean? Versus like things that you put value on yourself. So I don't know. It's just the Gabs part of what influences her essential self is what she values the most. I hope that makes sense.
It makes sense to me. Yeah, I think it's you need to have like Gabs represents that ideal for her,
and because she has such a complicated relationship with her essential self.
Her best warrior self might actually look a lot like Gabs, you know?
Right.
Well, that's what...
Put a pin in that.
Put a pin in it.
But also, like, that's what we talked about, how she was kind of Gabs in this episode.
Right. Which is interesting, because she's supposed to have that... That's the one thing that's supposed to be removed from her, but that seems to be
makes no
all
sense.
that's left.
And then, so it's like, so, you know, and we're working towards something, so we'll see. It always just makes me a special kind of sad when Xena talks about being ashamed of her.
I love it.
Yeah, I know.
It's
I
my
do
favorite
too,
part.
but it makes you sad.
Yeah, that's
because
why it's so
sad,
good.
You know
so
what I mean?
Fucking good, man.
And the fact that no matter how much good she does, like that shame never leaves her.
Exactly.
Yeah, just perfect.
Exactly. And yes, so we'll keep talking about that.
So they go and pop in on the Rhine Maidens now. This is interesting because Xena swims in how she did before. She like literally
it's
like
the same
goes,
shot.
Yes. And you see this reverse shot sort of like of Gabrielle on top of the rocks there.
And she's just kind of slipping through, right?
She's very dry.
Yeah.
Which makes me go, could you just walk up on them from the top?
And be like, hey ladies, swim over here.
And not
I gotta talk to you.
Like you don't have to like swim down for 1,000,000 miles or whatever underneath the water.
Xena's extra.
And you know, in their level, like, you know.
Right.
Sure. But she could have like all right, whatever. It was just really odd. It was just like, how did Gabs get there without swimming? Like that's all.
Yeah, why didn't they want Gabs to swim?
The hair.
I bet you that is exactly what it is.
Or Renee was like, I don't want to get wet today, guys. Thanks. I got to go direct an episode. I'm only here for a second.
All right, we haven't talked about that,
Yeah.
but that's why it's Renee Light this episode, is that she's prepping for her second directorial effort coming up somewhat soon.
The great and wonderful...
Dangerous Prey.
Yeah. So Xena pops in on the right minutes and Thirsty One is like, oh my God, stay back. I know you.
You elbowed me in the face.
Yeah, I remember. But Xena's like, no, girls. Nope, I'm here to return something that belongs to you.
I love this Thirsty Maiden. She's so sweet. She's just such a child.
Yeah.
She goes straight from being like, oh no, Xena, not again, to like, wow.
Yeah.
What magic has made Xena into such a noble creature that she would give up the power of the Rheingold?
And Xena says, it wasn't magic. And turns and stares at Gabs.
Smiley faced Gabs.
This was immensely cheesy,
Very
but
cheesy.
I kind of dug it.
Lovely.
I kind of dug it. The
It's
music
so nice.
swells.
Come on.
Gabs looks so happy.
Oh my
So
God.
cute.
Oh my goodness.
So cute and nice and heartwarming and lovely.
I mean, it's like the only way
Cheesy
this
in a
could have
good
ended.
way.
But like, this is like they always end episodes like this with these ridiculous lines and like moments, you know?
We haven't talked about soulmates.
Okay. You mean best friends?
No.
Loyal companions.
I mean, we've talked about it before. It's come up since
You're bringing
season
this
4.
up now?
I'm so sorry.
Could this...
soulmates.
What about them?
Do we like it? Like, it's all over this episode.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm super romantic, though. But, like, the show, I mean, it's been established for several seasons now that they're soulmates. I think that it's a loaded term that comes with all sorts of connotations for people. So, like, but what the show is showing you in universe is that these are two people who are united through time and space, like forever. And this episode is taking, our knowledge of like fairy tales and using it in that way to do something very overtly romantic. Like for me, who like is, loves this central relationship, thinks it's one of like the greatest love stories on earth. Like I don't have a problem with it. I think in this episode or in this trilogy, like there's an emphasis on it because of that whole romantic thing, but there's also like, I didn't really talk about it a lot when we were talking about The Ring, but when Gabs has that like amazing speech about like Xena and I are soulmates, like we didn't make it that way, it just is. There's a way that you look at that as a person who ships them, and like just hears her talking about, this is like normal and this is just how we are. Yeah. And if you're coming at it from like a queer perspective, then that's just her stating like, this is how I am, this is how we are, this is fine. So I think that is great, and it's one of the layers of the show that like they get to be as explicit as they can, that these two people are in love and in a relationship. They can use the word soulmate when they can't use the word girlfriend. Right. You know what I mean? And that's ridiculous, but like that's what's going on one level. The other level is that they are literal soulmates in this kind of fantastical universe where they do live throughout time, like tied to each other. Yeah. Yeah. But you don't like some of that because it's a free will issue for you? I love the romance of it, and I think you're absolutely right that, like, the queer connotations here are really important. This idea that, like you say, they didn't make it. It just is. But, like, for me, like having watched their relationship evolve and, like, seeing all the work that went into it. They built this relationship.
But nobody said being soulmates is easy.
Nobody said that.
That's true. There's just something about it that to me sort of erases like the journey of these two characters finding each other and learning from each other and growing.
But they do that in every lifetime.
They do it, and they find each other again and again.
It might be.
It actually sounds torturous, like, honestly.
I mean, that's the thing with
over and over, if you go and work on it like that.
There is an aspect of that, where you begin to feel like the nihilism of it, that you're trapped in this cycle of being separated and finding
by the time you get to the year 2000, you're, like, married, and, like, you get, like, good music, and, like,
it gets better, is what you're saying.
No, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, like, sometimes it's not, like...
I feel like, in a way, my frustration with some of the soulmate rhetoric is related to my frustration with this really beautiful idea at the end of the episode that Gabrielle is the magic that transforms Xena from... who she used to be to who she is now, which is, like, 100% true, but at the same time super reductive, because Xena had made a lot of decisions before she met Gabrielle and had already started walking the path of redemption.
Her decision was to kill herself.
I thought we were erasing Hercules.
Yeah, we're erasing Hercules, but, like, she had... she was disillusioned with
Hercules
her path of violence.
Want to kill herself.
Like, things happened to Xena that, like, didn't involve Gabrielle, and those things are important, too, to who Xena is. So this idea that Gabrielle is just this sort of not magic, but, the fix for everything that was wrong with Xena is inaccurate. Mm-hmm. And as much as I love the romance of it, I don't like that it takes away from who Xena is and the work that Xena has done to, like, get to this point. Like, Gabrielle was, such an important aspect of her path of redemption, but, Xena did it too.
Yeah.
Right, with help.
Yeah, with help. Gabs just, like, pointed stuff out for her.
Yeah, it takes two.
There's work that's happening.
It's a tricky conversation to have, because we're talking about the way people influence each other.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, she's doing the work as an individual, but she is doing the work based on learning from someone else. And
Yeah, it's
learning
like that's
from her
their
partner.
true partnership, a true love like that.
And
Yeah.
it it doesn't always translate into like, I'm gonna do everything you want or act like you. And in fact, it really like does not. In a lot of times, like Xena does things that Gabrielle does not want her to do at all, but that are based on being the person that she has become by learning through Gabrielle. So it's still, you're still doing
Yeah.
your own journey.
Yeah.
It's
And you know, of course, this moment is
Yeah.
very much Xena praising Gabrielle. It's not necessarily Xena being like, now I'm going to have an essay about like how Gabrielle
Right.
did all these things for me and I did nothing. Like, it's like, no, it's like, of course, Gabrielle was integral to Xena's journey. But yeah, there's a part of me, you know, when you get to this place of just like grand romance where I'm like, yes, this is lovely, but think about all the effort and pain.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that we forget that, you know?
We certainly, I know, I don't.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And I mean, there's so many things that this show does that it makes it complicated to like, and in a way you can take some of what you like and what you don't like. Like, it doesn't have to be, I mean, yes, the show does go like, okay, now they're going to be reincarnated in India, and now they're going to be reincarnated in California or wherever the fuck they were.
Yeah.
You know, like, it does do these things, but that doesn't need to be like, you know,
The part of the show
what
that
you
you
like about their romance, or
Yeah.
like the, you know, the definitive thing that like continues to happen to them. That doesn't have to be. It also can be if you want. Like, I like it as a timeline. I think it's fun.
I feel like
But-
this is a very fanish way of looking at it, where you pick your canon. Yeah, you pick what aspects of this relationship you approach.
But I think
Are you writing the AU?
No, I'm not writing. I'm just saying that like, I think that like it all works. Like, what you like about it with these characters, like, it's still there. It's still, you know, part of their relationship. It doesn't have to be like it does
doesn't
continue
erase
on
the
in
other.
in these other instances, but it's not like, yeah, I think them calling themselves each other's soulmate isn't like detracting from their individuality.
No, and I think in the end, it doesn't. It's not like my favorite way of approaching their relationship, but like, I feel like I can live with it.
I mean,
I like it.
I like it too, but I do think that like, for me, it just becomes a phrase or a word that it stands in for other things that the show is
and I can absolutely
especially
appreciate
later
it from that
when she's
angle.
like, this is my soulmate,
This is my soulmate,
Gabrielle. Nobody
Gabrielle.
goes around talking like that, introducing people that way.
Yeah.
That's you'd be like, this is my girlfriend, Gabrielle. Like, this,
my
you know what I mean?
wife.
This is my wife, Gabrielle.
at that
Like,
point,
Yeah.
it's white.
Yeah,
you know,
for
like,
sure.
it's like silly. You're like LOL, because you just feel that there's a tension there where like, this is acceptable to everyone. Everybody kind of understands.
Yeah.
This
This is a very
But
romantic
also-
word we can
Also,
say.
I would like to say that because this show is the way that it is, and it does not define things, it literally can be whatever you want. Like, if you're, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, like, if you don't want them to be in a relationship, then you can have it that way too. I'm like saying that like, you can have a person in your life who is your soulmate, who isn't your lover, like, or who you don't have a sexual relationship with, and that's fine too. And I like that a lot. Like, segue, just making me kind of think about the episode that we have been talking about for hours, and how we started with, you know, this wedding that Wealthea was having to Hrothgar and all the things that happened in that. And then we basically get this beautiful sequence with Xena and Gabrielle that like makes them be married at the end of the day. Like, in the beginning we were talking about how they don't, like, Wealthea like rejects
Heteronormativity.
Yeah, like, cause we got this amazing. If you go to our Tumblr, there's a great post that we got from someone named Tune My Art on Tumblr that kind of does a big analysis of the scene, the parallels between the early wedding and then Xena waking Gabrielle up, and it's just like it's so perfect.
They're both wearing white.
Well, they're both in.
There's an exchange of
ostensibly
rings.
like a
Sort of.
exactly.
Well, Gabs gives her the ring.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and then it's like, don't put that on again.
Wow.
It's not about this, but like it's like, well, what has power is the love between them, that they kiss, and that's what brings them back to themselves. And in the beginning, Xena's like, don't fucking kiss me, you know, but and then here you get the closure of that, where she kisses Gabrielle.
She's like, yes, please.
Yeah, and she's like, she didn't know she was supposed to do that. Like, she just knew she was supposed to do that.
And also that felt right to her.
Right. And then also, you know, she's wearing this white dress still, and Gabrielle's dress is very similar to the dress that Wealthea was getting married in. They're both white. They both have these gold designs on them. They both have a gold headband. It's just very clearly like Gabrielle's dress also imitates or reflects
A wedding dress.
a wedding dress. So,
Yeah.
you know, they're married now.
They're married.
They've always been married,
Yay.
but now they're
In the
extra
chapel.
more.
And they have Brunnhilda as
extra
a
married.
witness, even.
Oh, shit.
That's very
Or is she a
legit.
witness or is she like the
They're
priest?
married again.
She's both witness and priest.
So yeah, it's just really lovely, and go read that post, and yeah, just, well, they're soulmates.
Soulmates / girlfriends / wives
/ best friends
/ wives.
/ best friends.
And is it like that they don't, like instead of slaying the sacrificial cow, like they were supposed to like kill Brunnhilda, but like she doesn't. She,
Yeah,
like,
they
saves her.
require no sacrifice.
Yeah.
No.
It's about, saving everyone.
Right. All right, since we're segueing a little bit, you did mention how chakram was one of those like images.
I think so. Well, it's like Fallen Angel.
Yeah, either end of Fallen Angel or the beginning of Chakram, one of those
pick up.
stills that Xena leapt through.
Right. So chakram, I mean, we can't not mention how that was an episode where Xena's one of her essential selves was erased.
Right.
And you got left with...
Yeah, remember nothing and Chakram.
Yeah, but
really.
Remember Nothing is good because she was herself, but she couldn't do shit. And here it was like... we did not like that episode, basically, because...
Chakram.
Yes, Chakram, because it was... not Xena, and she was boring without...
There too we had issues, I think, with the logic. We were like,
Right.
why would this
Exactly.
blah be Xena's good side? Like,
Yes.
with the darkness removed.
Exactly,
It was just
yeah.
the boring side.
Exactly.
The two sides of Xena are the boring side and the dark side. Excuse you.
But, I mean, yeah, I feel like this is sort of the problem here, too. It's like... what's left,
Right.
the boring side.
The boring one, yeah.
I think maybe the takeaway is like, don't do these amnesia blank slate characters. They're just not very interesting.
Right, exactly.
Though, I mean, Wealthea is better than Chakram.
Well, for sure. Let's wrap up.
Yes.
And real quick, how do we feel about the trilogy, about this episode?
I enjoy the shit out of it, even though there's some of it that is a nonsense. Yeah.
I also enjoyed the shit out of it. I think I liked it better than The Ring last week.
Wow.
I think the dialogue was better here. I think my issue in part with The Ring is that it had a lot of yours like, are you kidding?
What?
All those lines.
This episode was terrible.
But it was meatier. There was a lot of substance to like what people were saying. Like I feel like there was a lot to
guess.
wrestle with, whereas The Ring I think was a little thinner as a plot.
I forgot about this episode. LOL. And that's because I really did not like it. I thought it was kind of messy and a bummer. I get obviously some part, like the only parts you remember are like the parts that you remember. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like the kissy parts and
Yeah.
the Xena Gabs parts.
You're saying
But, like,
you like those parts.
Yeah, but that's like you don't like I did not remember Rothgar or like
that's quite a plot.
Wealthea. Like I was like, what the fuck is happening? But like you just remember the flames, the romantic stuff, the kissing, the Xena and Gab stuff, and so I guess like I wish that it was more. I wish it was like more coherent as like just a 3-parter.
It's very incoherent, this last one especially. Yeah, I think some of the problems in the writing of the first 2 parts really reveal themselves here.
Yeah, and it sounded like from like Emily Skopov that it was kind of difficult to get the last 2 together, you know.
And she did say that what was missing was Gabrielle. Right?
Yeah, her memories of Gabrielle is what was missing.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that in the end is one of the biggest problems, is simply the way that whole amnesia arc worked. It just is kind of incoherent.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain what's happening or what the conclusion is about who Xena is.
Exactly.
It was a big
missed
a little bit
opportunity. Messier, and I think it should have been a little bit simpler, and it sucks because I think that because they were dealing with like the source, they had to hit parts of the source.
Right. This is all from Wagner, the amnesia.
And then they had to hit like the Sleeping Beauty aspect as well. Like, so there was just like, I think there was too many like...
Connecting the dots.
Too many chakrams in the air, guys. Too many.
Sometimes the ambition is larger than, the reach.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it is what it is. We got this.
But I still think that the whole thing is super ambitious.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
and we're glad that they did, they tried it.
It might not be like larger than the sum of its parts, but God, those parts, you know?
The parts are great.
So
good. And the, the fact that it was just so overt about their relationship was incredible.
And this is huge. This is a huge achievement that they've gotten this far.
Mm-hmm.
Can be like people's favorite things because of those elements of the episode. Yeah.
And it's pretty wonderful to have an episode that's just like, and by episode I mean 3 episodes, like about love.
Yeah.
Like all these different kinds of love.
Yeah.
Like, possessive love, selfless love, romantic love. Like, I think this is a new thing for the show to fully just go, we talking about love now. We ain't talking about no friendship.
Right.
So we did it.
Cool.
We did this one. Fun. And all 3 of these.
All right.
Goodbye, Norse country.
Bye.
Yeah, goodbye. The destruction of the ring. The return of the king.
And on that note, you can
follow us on all the stuff and things.
Yeah, on Apple Podcasts, you can go over there and listen, subscribe, rate, leave reviews. Our website where everything lives is XenaWarriorPodcast.com. We're on Twitter at XenaWarriorPod, on Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr, Xena Warrior Podcast. And then also you can find us on Patreon if you search for Xena Warrior Podcast. That's all of it.
The power.
The passion.
The podcast.